Hello. Welcome, everyone. Let me just let the music dissipate a little bit, and there it goes. So, welcome everyone to another episode or spine number of Chasing Labels. This is episode or spine number 175. I am your host, Andrew Cabral. If you are joining me here for the first time, welcome once again. This is the show or the podcast, the YouTube live stream, whatever you want to call it, where we go over several of the announcements in the world of boutique label home video from the last 2 week period or so. It's not everything, it's most of the major heavy hitters, the companies and labels that you probably are most aware of. It's mostly things that I'm interested in adding to my collection at some point, or things I'm just interested in general, or whatever else may be cooking up in a 2 week period of time. Who really ever knows? But thank you all for joining me. And before we dive into, of course, all the stuff we're going to get into, a little bit of sad news recently with the passing of the legendary Diane Keaton, the legendary actress, director, just icon in the world of movies, who passed away at 79 years old. It is becoming very apparent, I think, to many of us, old school movie fans, or many of us movie fans, that the previous generation, the generation of people that we've known and loved and grown up with watching their work throughout our lives, are unfortunately passing away. Unfortunately, time is undefeated in many of its regards, especially with mortality. So, of course, we want to wish all of those, fans, family members, loved ones, friends, all of that stuff. Wish them well. I know the movie world is mourning another big loss once again in Diane Keaton, and yeah, I have many of her movies throughout my collection. I'm sure many of you have movies in your collection featuring Diane Keaton. I know she worked a lot with many people we know of. Woody Allen being primarily of it. Of course, she was in Annie Hall, which won Best Picture, I believe, which she won an Oscar for. But she also ventured out and did some directing of her own. And what is the beauty of, I guess, physical media or home media or just movies in general? Her work lives on through all of that stuff. But getting into some other stuff here before we dive into all of the movie announcements and whatnot, let's talk a little bit about a little movie collection update. Movie collection update. Of course, within the 2 week period of time between then and now, of course, I had to snag a few things. There's been all kinds of sales going on. The last time we were here, if you didn't join me for episode number 174, or spy number 174, I talked about a bunch of things I got at the Kino 50% off sale that is currently happening. I think it's happening until the 19th of October. So I think this is kind of the last full week or so of that happening. I think it's happening all the way up through this coming weekend. But in between then and now, I did pick up a few more things, mostly things I picked up on eBay, some things I picked up in store, a couple of mainstream releases. I do pick up some mainstream releases every now and again. Of course, I've got to keep up with what everybody's talking about. Of course, I watch, hundreds, over 100 new movies a year in terms of new releases and whatnot. But some stuff I picked up that came out last month. The newest film in the John Wick overall franchise, and that is the movie Ballerina, starring Anna de Armas. Now, this movie is I would say, yeah, I would call it a spin-off of the John Wick franchise, although this character hadn't been seen before. But this does take place within the John Wick universe. It actually takes place in between, actually, during the events of movies 3 and 4. It's in that area. I don't want to say how, I don't want to say who connects them and all that kind of stuff. If you haven't seen the movie yet, this is actually the Walmart exclusive steelbook of Ballerina. I rather like this movie for just a popcorn action movie. You don't get much better these days from mainstream studios than the John Wick films, in my opinion. Just, they are, very well put together, great choreography. The plots are what they are, but this is a really nice steelbook, actually. As you saw here, a nice slipcover, steelbook cover art here with Anna de Armas' character on the front, and then a little tie into the overall plot on the back. Let's see what we have inside. I don't think I've even opened this yet. So here is the 2 discs on the inside, a little bit of inner artwork as well. So that's really, really nice. I'm not a big steelbook person. I used to be a bigger steelbook fan when I was younger, But I've been trying to get all of the other John Wick movies on Steelbook, and I have such an OCD when it comes to my collection that if I have a franchise in a certain format, I've got to get them all in the same format, whether it be a Steelbook, whether it be 4K, whether it be Blu-ray. I've gotta do that. I have a little OCD when it comes to that, and for some reason, I cannot close this back up, and I don't know why. Let me figure this out. Anywho, let me close this back up. A couple of other things that I got here as well. Another Steelbook. Coincidentally, I just said I'm not a big Steelbook person, and I got another Steelbook. That is Corpse Bride. Now, I don't think this is not a Walmart exclusive Steelbook, even though I bought it at Walmart. So, Tim Burton's Corpse Bride is celebrating its 20th anniversary. I think it came out 20 years ago, which would be 2005. A beloved Tim Burton film for a modern generation, and even for my generation, and probably the new generation as well. A really solid Tim Burton stop motion animation, very much in the same vein as Nightmare Before Christmas, which was done by Henry Selick and produced by Tim Burton. I think that needs to be a distinction. And the reason why I picked this up is because I was at my local Walmart and they just happened to have it. And I was like, they don't have the regular edition, but with just the regular slipcover and whatnot, but they have the steelbook, and they only had one left, so I figured I would get it. For those of you listening at home, you can't see it, but there's a nice clear plastic slipcover that is very nice. Has artwork on it that overlays the image that's on the steelbook as well. And yeah, you get the corpse right on the front. You get the other character on the back. And let's see what we got here on the inside. I think it's just one disc. Yeah, you have some inner artwork and just the one Blu-ray disc, 4K disc, I should say. Yeah, it's not a combo pack, unfortunately. Let me put this back together. I put the slipcover on wrong. There it goes. All right, let me put that aside. And then I got another new release, and that would be 28 years later, the Danny Boyle film. Now, this is Danny Boyle's follow-up to 28 Days and 28 Weeks Later. More so a follow-up to 28 Days Later, not so much 28 Weeks Later. Well, to a certain point. I don't want to spoil anything. A much different film than I think people were expecting, but to be honest, it's one of my favorites of the year. It really, really is. It's in my top 10 currently. I think it's in my top 5, actually. And I really, really like this movie a lot. And there is another one of these movies coming in January, I think, directed by Nia DaCosta. Nia DaCosta, who did the Candyman remake, which coincidentally I actually just bought last night and is on the way in the mail. So that is 28 days later, 28 years later, sorry. And what else do I have here? Oh, I have a bunch of stuff I just bought on eBay that literally just came in. 2 movies by the same director. Now, I've been trying to buy one of these movies and add it to my collection for about 7 or 8 years. And I can't tell you enough how great it feels as a collector, a movie collector, to finally add a movie you've been wanting to add to your collection for so long. And this is the Mike Mills movie, 20th Century Women. This is an excellent, excellent indie film that came out, I think, 2017. 2016, actually. So I've been wanting this movie for a long time, a very long time, almost 9 years or so. And this movie stars Annette Bening, Elle Fanning, and Greta Gerwig. And this is a fantastic movie. I don't want to say too much about it, but it's really great. I loved it when it came out. It was one of my favorite movies of the year it came out. But I really, really like this movie a lot. I've been wanting to add it for so long. The issue has been finding it with the slipcover. I'm a big old slipcover fan, and just finding this movie with the slipcover was really, really tough. It's one of those Lionsgate A24 films. Before A24 was putting out their own exclusive editions from their website and then now releasing them in stores, they had to deal with Lionsgate, and Lionsgate put out this. They put out a bunch of other ones like Swiss Army Man and The Lobster. Those are still ones I have to get. And yeah, so this was before all of that. And then the next one I got is another Mike Mills movie, and this is the movie Come On, Come On, which came out just a couple of years ago. Came out in, I think it was 2021. 2021 this came out. This is a movie starring Joaquin Phoenix. Beautiful, sumptuous black and white. Great indie film as well. Great performance by Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, I really like this movie a lot as well. So these two Mike Mills films. Of course, Mike Mills also directed the movie The Beginners, which is a movie I think about very often, which is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, so I think all of Mike Mills' stuff. I think he's only done 3 movies. But some other stuff I got here. Oh, I mentioned this last time. I still needed to add this to the collection because I bought. Let me get it here. Oh, here it is. So last time I talked about that I got Wayne's World 2 through that Kino sale at Barnes and Noble. Well, now I have the first Wayne's World, and you can see the difference. One is an indie boutique label release, and the other one is a mainstream release put out by Paramount. And it's very interesting. I've commented on this many times, so I'm going to sound like a broken record. There is an interesting kind of decision making going on when it comes to the mainstream studios of which movies they license out to the boutique labels regarding from the same franchise or from one is a sequel, one is the original, or one is 2 movies starring the same person. Like we had Tommy Boy and we had Black Sheep. Tommy Boy got a release from Paramount in 4K, but Black Sheep got a release from Kino in 4K. So it's kind of interesting how they license those out. But I now have both Wayne's World movies on 4K, and this came out a few years ago. This came out, back in 2022, I think, 2023, one of those. But either way, I have Wayne's World. I have Wayne's World 2. Two of my beloved films from my childhood. When these movies came out, I was, let's see, Wayne's World 2 came out in 1993. I was 6 years old. And I think the first one came out, and I want to say 1991 or 1992. So you can do the math on that, 4 or 5. But I watched these so many times as a kid. I've had the Blu-rays in my collection for years. So it's nice to finally, get that upgrade. And here's a movie that has an interesting history for me. This is the movie starring Ben Affleck, and this is directed by Gavin O'Connor. This is The Way Back. And the reason why this has an interesting history for me, because I believe I have to go back and check myself. This was the last movie I saw before the COVID-19 shutdowns. Before COVID-19 kind of raged out of control and movies shut down and stores shut down and jobs shut down, all this kinds of stuff happened. I think this was like the last movie I saw in the theater at that time. So I've been wanting to get this ever since, not only for that sentimental fact, but a fact that I think this is actually a really good underrated movie from starring Ben Affleck. I think he's really great in this movie, and I like the movie overall in general. So that's The Way Back. Let's see. We've got a couple of Warner Archive releases. Coincidentally, we will be talking about Warner Archive this episode. I think I bought this as part of Amazon was having like their big Prime deal days or something like that. It was 2 days like last week. I think it was 8th and 9th or 9th and 10th, one of the two. I don't know. But anywho, I picked up a couple of these. So I picked up Rover Dangerfield. I've talked about this. Another movie from my childhood that I really, really love, starring, of course, the late, great comedian and actor Rodney Dangerfield as an anthropomorphic dog who goes from the hustle and bustle of Las Vegas to the rural farmland area, and he's got to kind of go on a little character journey. I always really love this movie. And then we've got some more animation here with Wacky Races, the complete series. Another thing I saw from my childhood. And like I said before, and if you're joining me here for the first time, I'm trying to buy like every single Hanna-Barbera animated related thing ever. I'm trying to buy it. I'm biding my time because I'm hoping everything is going to be getting a re-release on Blu-ray. Ever so surely it's happening. Very slowly, though. Very slowly. Like, I've been picking up some Scooby-Doo stuff here and there, some Yogi Bear stuff here and there, Jetsons, Flintstones, the big stuff. But Wacky Races is nice. Wacky Races is really nice. Here you have, Dick Dastardly and all these guys and whatnot, and Muttley. But, yeah, something straight out of my childhood. Here is a movie that I talked about a few episodes ago, is the movie Three Comrades. This is a Frank Borzage film. This is a Frank Borzage film from 1938, starring Robert Taylor, Margaret Sullivan, Franchot Tone, and Robert Young. And I talked about this when it came out. I believe this is based off of. I think no, this is not based off of. It's I think F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote the screenplay for this. F. Scott Fitzgerald, who wrote The Great Gatsby, one of my favorite books of all time, and that yeah, Three Comrades. And the next up here is actually, I think, the first ever, technically, the first ever release from Deaf Crocodile, and that is The Unknown Man of Shandagore. I talked about this years ago here on Chasing Labels. We were around when Deaf Crocodile first started partnering up with Vinegar Syndrome and the OCN partner labels area there, and they started putting out their movies. And they've since, of course, gone on and partnered with Diabolic, and now they're doing their stuff on their own website and all that kind of stuff. But their first ever release, it says 001. You probably can't read that because the focus will be way out of there. But it is 001. This is The Unknown Man of Shandagore. So what this signals to all of you, as it should, is I'm going back now to try to make up for lost time and pick up a lot of early Deaf Crocodile releases that I didn't get but did talk about. The problem with that is many of them are indeed out of print and a little tough to find. So I'm going to have to do some digging, going to have to do some waiting, going to have to spend way more than I probably should to beef up the catalog of Deaf Crocodile stuff. But I'll work on that. But we got to start somewhere. I have a couple of other Deaf Crocodiles releases. I'm going to look around me really quickly, so give me a second. I forgot which one. Oh, it's probably behind me somewhere. Anywho, I have one more other Deaf Crocodile release as well, but I'm gonna start building up the Deaf Crocodile because they've got so many unique titles. I talk about them all the time here on Chasing Labels, and it's about time I actually start buying some of their stuff. So, we do have some comments here. That's about it in terms of new releases that I've gotten. Oh, I lied. Hold on, I have to check and see myself. The way I keep track of all this stuff is I actually take pictures and post them on my Instagram. That's the only way I can keep track of everything I buy. If I don't take a picture of it, I kind of forget that I have it. Let's see. Yeah, I did pick up some DVD TV stuff. Two animated series that I did pick up during that whole Amazon sale thing as well is something I've been wanting to buy. Oh goodness, since it came out in 2014. And this is a throwback. I don't know if many of you know this. Mr. Magoo, the Theatrical Collection, 1949 to 1959. Now, this is something from my childhood. There is a box. This is a box set from Shout Factory. There's another box set that's his TV stuff that I need to get as well. But this is stuff from like I said, the 40s and 50s. This is going way back. This is like pre Hanna-Barbera animation. This is, Looney Tunes was around back in the 40s and 50s as well. But yeah, I've been wanting this for so long. And then I've been wanting to build up. I'm a child. I was born in the late 80s, grew up in the 90s. Of course, I grew up in the prime of 90s animation with Nickelodeon. And I've been wanting to get a lot of the Nickelodeon series on DVD for many years. I don't think I see any of these getting Blu-ray releases really anytime soon. So I'm kind of safe in that regard. There's probably a lot of reasons why, but The Angry Beavers. One of my favorite shows when I was a kid was The Angry Beavers. Ran from 1997 to 2001. So started when I was 10 and ended when I was 14. Yeah, 14. And I've always wanted this complete series set. I remember when this came out from Shout Factory. 2013 this came out. So yeah, I've been wanting this since 2013. Yet again, making up for lost time. That is kind of a beautiful thing with physical media is you can kind of make up for lost time. And then I got this a few weeks ago and I wanted to talk about this so much, but I want to save it maybe for a separate video. This is the I Love Lucy complete Blu-ray set. I bought this several weeks ago, probably a month ago. Yeah, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. Something that's been near and dear to my heart for a very long time is collecting TV on home video. That's how I first started collecting things back in the mid to late 2000s. And yeah, I'm just rambling on, and I probably shouldn't. But I guess you can make up your own rules when you run your own show. But this complete series set, I have a lot to say about it. First of all, the packaging is a little somewhat to be desired, but the the heart of this literally is, of course, the show itself. 194 episodes, and yeah, this I want to get into this on at a much later date. So now that is officially everything. Now we can get into the goods and get into why people are have come here. But before we even do that, let's check out some comments we have in the comment section. So, Acres of Movies says, excited for the program. Thank you, Acres of Movies, for joining me here again. Then we have Jeff K that says, evening. And we've got Jeff K again. Can you suggest a film that Keaton directed? Yes, Diane Keaton. Let me go over to um, good old IMDb and look up what actually Diane Keaton has directed. And I know it's not a lot, but I don't think people are very much aware of what Diane Keaton has actually directed in her career. Let's see. So Diane Keaton has directed, oh goodness. She actually directed an episode of Twin Peaks, which is kind of nuts to me as much as I love Twin Peaks. She directed a movie called Heaven from 1987. She directed a lot of like TV and straight to video stuff. Yeah, I'm just looking. Let's see. Wildflower was a TV movie in 1991. Probably tough to find. Unstrung Heroes from 1995. Hanging Up in 2000. She directed an episode of a TV series called Pasadena in 2001. But that's about it. So not really anything in the last 25 or so years. Or yeah, 25 or so years. I'm actually curious what episode of Twin Peaks she directed, so please excuse me. She directed season 2, episode 15. Ooh. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I do remember this episode. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's one of the later season 2 episodes. Or mid-season 2 episodes. A lot of people do not like season 2 of Twin Peaks. Goes a little off the rails, but you kind of have to watch everything to really get the full picture of Twin Peaks. That's one of those shows. But let's see. Jeff K also says Shandagore is an interesting film. I haven't seen it yet, actually. I haven't seen it yet, and the reason why is I've actually been waiting to buy it. I've had actually, now that you mention it, I had this in like a to buy list on Orbit DVD for a long time. You know, when you go to orbitdvd.com, you can make a wish list, as you can do pretty much at any place. And I had this on there for the longest time. Luckily, I actually bought this at diabolicdvd.com, and they still had it with the limited edition slipcover that came when you bought it at Vinegar Syndrome back in, several years ago. So I was lucky to be able to buy it there and not have to track it down for like double the price on eBay. But I'm going to check it out soon. And maybe on an unwatched pile. Maybe for an unwatched pile, now that I think about it, because I'm always looking for stuff to watch on the unwatched pile. Let's just say, and he says entertaining and different. That very much sums up a lot of what Deaf Crocodile does. Entertaining and different. Underline different a lot. Because they're a company that unearths movies that you've never heard of before. Like movies that are deep catalog Eastern European animated films from the 1980s. Like it's just stuff that's crazy. And a lot of the animation they do is very surreal. If you love surreal stuff that doesn't make any sense, and you're here just for the art and the vibes, that's Stiff Crocodile's animation stuff. Very much so. But let's see what we got here for some other things. Okay, I'm just putting stuff away. I like to keep things. I did say I like to keep things relatively organized, but I would be lying to you guys if I did. At least it's organized for me. That's what I should say. So let me stack these up here, and then we will go into what I want to talk about this week. Let me go to my Um, let me go. Actually, I have to bring up my. Hold on, I have to bring up my notes. I thought I had my notes brought up, but I do not. I think I exited out of them. Okay, so I think we will start actually with Warner Archive because they were kind of a late to the game this in this cycle because they posted on October 10th, which would have been was that Friday? Okay, so we've got these are the November slate of releases. So these are coming out next month, and this is for Warner Archive. They have the movie The Bride Came C.O.D., which I think is cash on delivery from 1941, Silver River from 1948, The Miracle from 1959, It's Love I'm After from 1937, I Love You Again from 1940, and The Iron Mistress from 1952, and At the Circus from 1939, which is a Marx Brothers film. Now, the only two of these movies I did not get to see is The Miracle and The Iron Mistress, but I've seen all the other ones. So let's start with The Bride Came C.O.D. This is a movie starring Betty Davis and James Cagney, so two of my all-time favorites. So I had to watch this immediately. So description: Warner Brothers superstars Betty Davis and James Cagney headline this delightful comedy classic, a romp that shows both screen legends having a ball. $10 a pound is the going rate for freight. So charter pilot Steve Collins, James Cagney, figures he's owed $1,150 cash on delivery, hence, COD. His cargo is Joan Winfield, an heiress whose elopement with a musician is kiboshed when Steve kidnaps her so he can fly Joan to her irate father. Uh, but then Joan finds a parachute. Comedy comes from a motherload of sources in the screwball farce headlined by the ebullient pairing of Cagney and Davis, scripted by Julius J. and Philip G. Epstein, and a full of favorite supporting talents, the stars in their final film together. Um, yeah, spar with harebrained zest. The story scoops along like butter in a hot pan, and the happy result from the start to end is cash on delivery. So what you have here is a screwball comedy romance um, with James Cagney and Betty Davis. So what happens is James Cagney runs like a freight airline delivery service, but he is going out of business because I guess business isn't good, and he needs to pay a bill of $1,150 or so, or else he's going to lose his plane. So he just happens to fall into this opportunity where this rich heiress portrayed by Betty Davis, is going to marry this musician, and that her father doesn't want that to happen. Her father doesn't think this musician is good enough for his daughter, and he wants to, put an end to this little romance, this marriage that's going to happen, and stop it before it can start. So James Cagney comes to him and says, "I will, you know, basically kidnap your daughter and bring her to you, but I'm going to do it for this rate." So what happens is he does that, and then Betty Davis decides that she's not having it. She jumps out of his plane with a parachute, and he, lands his plane and goes after her, and they end up landing in the middle of nowhere in this old abandoned mine town. And this old abandoned mine town just has uh this one old guy just living there, like making breakfast and just living his life and whatever. And they stay there, and a big scandal occurs, like, oh, this heiress has been captured. Everybody starts looking for her and stuff, and zaniness ensues and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, of course, James Cagney and Betty Davis have this little antagonistic relationship that ends up flourishing into a romance. There you go. Classic Hollywood stuff. I really, really liked it a lot. It's this release has a new 4K restoration of the film. We have Warner Night at the Movies from 1941, musical shorts, Carnival of Rhythm, 40 Boys and a Song, classic Warner Brothers cartoons with Porky's Pooch, Rhapsody in Rivets, and Saddle Silly, theatrical trailer for Honeymoon for Three, bonus cartoon The Bird Came COD, Lux Radio Theater broadcast of The Bride Came COD with Bob Hope and Hedy Lamarr, original theatrical trailer, and this is coming out November 18th. So here you have Betty Davis, James Cagney in The Bride Came COD or Cash on Delivery. I really liked it. I really liked it. Then you have the movie Silver River. This is directed by Raoul Walsh and starring Errol Flynn. Starring Errol Flynn. Um, and I just need more Errol Flynn in my collection in general. Under the inspired direction of the great Raoul Walsh, Errol Flynn delivers up one of his best dark, dramatic performances in this tale of good man gone bad. Union Army Captain Mike McComb is tasked with the guarding of the Army payroll at the onset of the Battle of Gettysburg when his small squad is set upon by skirmishers. Fleeing the Red Patrol, McComb burns the money to keep it from Confederate hands and is court-martialed in disgrace for his command decision. So he makes a bad decision that he wasn't supposed to make, and he ends up getting kicked out of the army. McComb dispenses with duty and honor and vows to serve a new master, his desires. The man who burnt a million uses the army one last time to set up a stake and quickly conquers the silver market in Colorado. In his rise to power, McComb encounters the lovely and married Georgia Moore, portrayed by Anne Sheridan, and the depths to which McComb will sink to capture her heart will sicken even him, but a former rummy with a penchant for poetry may hold the key to McComb's redemption. Underscored by the great Max Steiner, Silver River is impressive Warner Brothers Entertainment at its finest. It's good. It's good. It's a long, not epic character story, but it does take place over a significant amount of time. You do see him get kicked out of the army. You see him build up his silver mining business, and you see all the complications that go with that. Of course, there's greed, there's infighting, there's competition that wants to come in and take the money from you and stuff like that. I think that Errol Flynn is very good in the movie, and Sheridan is very good in the movie. So I liked it. I liked it. So we have a new 4K restoration of the film, classic WB cartoons, Rabbit Punch, 2 gophers from Texas, and that's it. You get the theatrical trailer too. So that is Silver River, coming out November 18th. Let's see. So the Miracle I didn't get to see, but so I won't spend too much time on it. All I will say is that it's getting a new 6K restoration from the Technorama camera negative. That sounds incredible. So I want to check that out before I have anything really to say about it. But I did get to see It's Love I'm After. And the reason why is because this movie stars Betty Davis once again, and also stars Leslie Howard. Now, for me, Leslie Howard, I think, was one of the best actors of the 1930s. I think he's honestly one of the best actors perhaps ever, in my opinion. And he's electric in this movie. He's great in this movie. He was in the movie Of Human Bondage, also with Betty Davis, and he was in The Petrified Forest, I think also with Betty Davis too. Unfortunately, he died in World War II. His plane got shot down in World War II, and I think it was 1943, 44, something like that. And he died during World War II. Great actor, great actor. So we have here Betty Davis and Leslie Howard made quite an impressive impression as co-stars in 2 standout classics, Of Human Bondage and The Petrified Forest. If you're a fan of 1930s gangster movies, or even if you're not a fan of 1930s gangster movies, watch The Petrified Forest. I think it's essential. Let's see. They showcase their impressive dramatic talents. For their third and final film together, serious drama takes a backseat to zany comedy, packed with generous wit in It's Love I'm After. Starstruck Marsha West, Olivia de Havilland, another actress that I absolutely love. Olivia de Havilland is one of my favorite actresses of all time. She just passed away a couple of years ago. She lived to over 100 years old. She was a hell of an icon, a hell of an actress. She was in such iconic movies. Oh my goodness. We were just talking about Errol Flynn. She paired with Errol Flynn in several movies. She was in Gone with the Wind. She won 3 Oscars throughout her career, I believe. Just an all-time actress, Olivia de Havilland, one of my all-time favorites. But Olivia de Havilland is in this movie, and she's a starstruck fan of Leslie Howard's character. So let's see. could care less that famed thespian Basil Underwood, portrayed by Leslie Howard, is vain and discourteous while staying at her family's mansion. So the premise of this movie is Leslie Howard plays this really famous, really popular theater actor called Basil Underwood, and the women are just adore him. They absolutely love him. He has this relationship with Betty Davis's character. They're both actors on stage together. They have this love hate relationship where they love each other, but they also like insult each other constantly and can't stand each other at all. They always say that they're going to get married, but they never do. They call off marriages. They get re-engaged to get married. One of those wacky relationships, if you will. And what happens is one day, Leslie Howard kind of wants to put an end to. I guess he wants to put an end to all of these other women throwing themselves at him. So he gets an opportunity from the fiance of the Olivia de Havilland character who says, "Hey, can you just like put on an act to be this really like, jerk of a guy so that the Olivia de Havilland character won't be interested in you anymore?" And he shows up at her house and she's just infatuated with him. And he tries every way in which he can to just be the most unappealing person, just be rude and be, all this kind of stuff. And she just dismisses it all and just keeps going after him. So it's a lovely kind of zany screwball-esque comedy in that regard. It reminded me a lot of The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer, which is a movie starring Cary Grant and I think Myrna Loy and Shirley Temple, and it's absolutely like and that movie is always great for me. I've watched it so many times. I think I still need to see if there's a Blu-ray release and get it, but that's neither here nor there. It's me getting distracted. But that's the general premise of this movie is, him trying to like completely uh put off this young infatuated fan. And of course Betty Davis character shows up, which causes more chaos to the situation that's going on. And yeah, it's really a lot of fun. It's a hell of a lot of fun. So this movie has a new 4K restoration. It's got two classic Warner Brothers cartoons in Porky's Building and Porky's Bad Time. They loved the Porky's cartoon, Porky Pig. And then we have I Love You Again. Now this is a movie starring William Powell and Myrna Loy, two of the greatest on-screen pairings you will ever see in all of cinema history. They work together so many times. Of course, they work together primarily in the Thin Man series, which there were 6 films, I believe. I think I'm gonna swing around and look behind me because that's where I have them. Let's see, where are you? Ah, right behind me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there are 6 Thin Man films, all available on Warner Archive. So get them if you don't already. I think there's also a Thin Man collection on Blu-ray that Warner Archive put out too, where they just put all 6 discs in one package if you don't want them all individually. But those movies are great. And William Powell and Myrna Loy are great together on screen. So take a refreshing plot with a novel twist. Add line after line of wonderfully saucy dialogue, garnished with top-notch direction by W.S. Van Dyke, and the result is one of the brightest romantic comedies ever essayed by the irresistible team of William Powell and Myrna Loy. In this wildly original tale, Mr. Powell plays a big city confidence man who awakens from a 9-year amnesia to discover he has become the manager of a small town pottery works. Joined by the Elks and married Miss Loy, partnered in a phony oil scam, he continues the charade only to find Miss Loy's about to divorce him for being such a fuddy-duddy. His problem, how to get the dough, avoid discovery, and re-win the heart of his wife. The result is an unpredictable mileage of swift-gagged and clever one-liners. William Powell and Myrna Loy, screen legends and a barrel of fun. Yeah, the movie is actually a barrel of fun. So you've got William Powell as a con man who he hits his head one time and wakes up from a 9-year coma or 9-year amnesia, and he's this completely different person with like a different like life going on, and you're kind of discovering that along the way. And then he's got Myrna Loy, who's like a tempestuous wife that he's got to like reestablish a relationship with. He's got some big time business dealings on the side. The dialogue is fast and witty and great. Awesome stuff. Really awesome stuff. This is so my thing. I couldn't, you know, recommend this stuff more to people. But we have a new 4K restoration of the film. We have a Lux Radio Theater broadcast with Myrna Loy and Cary Grant from 1941. Fitzpatrick Travel Talk Short Subject Cavalcade of San Francisco, MGM cartoon The Milky Way, and the original theatrical trailer. And that is it. So I didn't get to see The Iron Mistress, so in the interest of time, we'll skip over that. And we'll go to At the Circus, which I have seen, which is a Marx Brothers movie. Let's see. What are we doing here for time? Okay. Let's see. So At the Circus. So what's interesting, I do want to say there are. So Warner Brothers has been putting out a couple of Marx Brothers movies through Warner Archive. There is a Marx Brothers Blu-ray collection that's rather cheap that you can buy through Universal. I think puts that out. I have it somewhere. Where do I have it? I'm asking you guys as if you know where my collection stuff is, as if I'm looking up at my box sets now, and I'm trying to see if I have it up there. I do. It's way at the end. So I have my box sets up like on a top shelf. You guys can't see it, but on a top shelf. But I have them in alphabetical order by company. So it starts with Arrow, then Criterion, and so on and so forth. So Universal is at the very end with Universal Monsters and things like that. So I do have it up there. So back to the task at hand. Back to At the Circus. So At the Circus, a classic of comic insanity. At the Circus races along at an hilarious, logic-defying pace, reaching literally the highest point in all of the Marx Brothers films, with a scene in which the zany trio, as well as Margaret Dumont and a gorilla on the loose, wind up swinging wildly from the trapeze. When a loan shark and two circus performers set out to steal Wilson's Wonder Circus from its rightful owner, two circus attendants, Chico and Harpo Marx, enlist the help of a lawyer. Their choice is attorney loophole Groucho Marx. Himself on the lam from the law, the three make several crazy attempts to retrieve the cash needed to save the show. Included one unforgettable episode with Groucho trying to snatch a wallet from the bosom of a lovely circus star, who's portrayed by Eve Arden. Wow. The film also includes wonderful songs written by the Wizard of Oz tunesmiths Harold Arlen and E.Y. Harburg, including Groucho's unforgettable Lydia the Tattooed Lady. Offering a laugh a minute to one and all, At the Circus is broad, ribald fun, studded with gag sequences that will catch maximum laughs. Yeah, it's if you're a fan of the Marx Brothers, you have to have it. You have to have it. If you're not a fan of the Marx Brothers, I would recommend checking out the Marx Brothers. Now, their comedy, of course, comedy is the most subjective, I think, of all genres of entertainment. It really is. What's funny to one person isn't funny to another. So, it's going to depend on what you think is funny, what you don't think is funny. But I appreciate the Marx Brothers. I love them more so as historically significant for their transition from vaudeville to the movie screen, and also their brand of comedy is unique and very much at the forefront of a lot of modern comedy, especially physical comedy and things like that. But let's see what we got here. We have new 4K restoration of the film from the best preservation elements. MGM Our Gang Comedy Short Dog Days, MGM Cartoon Jitterbug Follies, Leo is on the air radio promo, which is audio only, and then original theatrical trailer, and that is it. So these are all coming out November 18th. So these are the Warner Archive releases from November of 2025. Excuse me. They are, one more time for everybody listening at home, The Bride Came C.O.D., which is Cash on Demand, from 1941, Silver River from 1948, The Miracle from 1959, It's a Love I'm After from 1937, I Love You Again from 1940, The Iron Mistress from 1952, and At the Circus from 1939. So that's it for Warner Archive. Let's see where else we shall go from here. Let me actually organize my tabs a little bit better. I like to have... Hold on. I accidentally moved that to a whole different thing. So let me go back to my notes. I exit out of my notes again. Oh man, you can tell it's a Monday. It's Monday. It's Monday. It's cold. It's rainy. It's all depressing weather for me. Um, let's see. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Let's see. Let me go back in time. Interesting. Michael J. Fox has a new book out. Speaking of back in time or Back to the Future. So let's go over to let's go over to Radiance now. Let's go over to Radiance because they were one of the earlier announcements of the week, and they only have 3 movies, and I got to see 2 out of 3 of them. So these are, let's see, when are these announcements for? They're usually way ahead of everybody else when it comes to their schedule. So it looks like these are from January. Yes, January of 2026. Wow, I can't even think that far ahead. So we have The Wild Child, we have Blood of Revenge, and then we've got Illustrious Corpses. What an interesting trio of movies. So only 3 movie announcements from them, or 3 release announcements rather. So The Wild Child is where we will start. This is a Francois Truffaut film from 1970, I think. Yeah, from 1970. Now, this is an interesting, fascinating movie because it stars actually Francois Truffaut in it. So, let me read what it is about. So, in 1798, a young boy who cannot speak, read, or write is found living alone in a forest in France. This is actually based on a true story. Determined to integrate the child into society, Dr. Itard, Francois Truffaut, takes him under his wing, gives him a name, and attempts to teach him how to communicate. Based on a true story, Francois Truffaut's moving tale of care, black and white cinematography. Oh wait, hold on, I skipped a line. Moving tale of care, education, and connection boasts stunning black and white cinematography by Nister Almudros, and a touching central performance by the director himself in his first credited role in a feature film. Okay. So this is an interesting movie, relatively low key. It's kind of just a series of this doctor portrayed by Francois Truffaut, who takes in this young boy who, at the very beginning of the movie, it's not a spoiler, first scene of the movie, is living in the woods by himself. And the assumption by professionals is that he's lived in the woods since he was very little. So you're getting kind of, Mowgli from the Jungle Book. Think of that, who has just been living in the woods, so he has no sense of humanity. He's got no sense of language. He's got no sense of being able to communicate with other people. They don't really know why this young boy was abandoned in the woods or left in the woods or the circumstances around it. All that is this Francois Truffaut doctor character takes him in and basically tries to rehabilitate him back to humanity. Teach him to communicate, teach him etiquette, teach him, how to write, how to read, how to talk, all this kind of stuff. That's the movie. That's the movie. And apparently, it was a very big hit in 1970. I was just doing a little bit of reading research on it when I watched it, and apparently, it was one of Francois Truffaut's big hits. I wasn't aware of that. I also makes me think of the fact that Francois Truffaut's 1970s work is rather different than his 1960s work. Of course, in the 1960s and even the late 1950s, when he started, very much steeped in the French New Wave. The style of the French New Wave and the motifs and the themes and all of that stuff was definitely firmly embedded in Francois Truffaut's work of, late 50s and into the 60s. I bring up the late 50s because of, the 400 Blows. What's interesting is this movie is probably most closely associated with the 400 Blows, outside of its, sequels, if you will. Coincidentally, right, I still have this here on my couch, which is the Adventures of Antoine Duandiel, the 5 films by Francois Truffaut. I still have this from when I picked it up at the Criterion sale back in July. And so outside of this work, this movie here, The Wild Child, is very much closely associated with it because it is about, the troubles of a young person trying to figure things out. Now, it's very much inverted contextually in a sense that this person's very much a blank slate in terms of, trying to learn things. Uh, but I find it fascinating how Truffaut was trying to kind of go over similar ground again in The Wild Child that he had gone over previously in like The 400 Blows and certain other films. Um, yeah. So this movie is good. It's actually it is rather good. But as I was saying, his 1970s work feels rather different. And I think because by the time the 1970s came around in French cinema, the French New Wave had kind of dissipated. That style, those themes, those motifs, those directors had kind of evolved into new areas, if you will. Uh, you know, Claude Chabrol and Agnes Varda, Jean-Luc Godard, Melville, et cetera, and Truffaut as well. So I find his 1970s work to be fascinating. Also, the 1970s would be his last full decade of work before he passed away in the early 1980s. So I find that fascinating as well. But yeah, give this movie check this movie out if you haven't already. It's called The Wild Child. It may have a different title for those of you looking it up. It may have the French title, which I think is L'Enfant Sauvage, the savage child, if you will. Um, but let's see what we have here for special features, shall we? Let's see. We have high definition digital transfer, uncompressed mono PCM audio, archival on-set interview with Francois Truffaut from 1970, archival television interview with Francois Truffaut and author Lucien Malzahn from 1969, new interview with critic and author Jeanette Vincendeau from 2025, and that is it. Oh, the reversible sleeve featuring new artwork, and then you have a limited edition booklet featuring writing from Truffaut and new writing by Adam Scoville as well, limited to 3,000 copies. Let's see, what do we have here for region encoding? Oh, region B only. That makes sense. Okay, so they put out a couple of other Francois Truffaut films and they've been region B before. I think, yeah, here in the US region A area, Truffaut's work is pretty much all scooped up. If it's not from, like I said, if it's not from Criterion, who's put out all kinds of his stuff, um, they put out Jules and Jim. They put out, of course, all the Antoine Duaniel stuff. They put out, I think, the Soft Skin as well. His 1970s work, I think Kino has a bunch of his 1970s work that they've already put out too, like Mississippi Mermaid and things like that. I'm pointing at my Radiance section as if you can see it, but I know that uh, Radiance has put out, I think, two other Truffaut films as well. Actually, I can look it up. I'm on their website now. I don't know why I'm making guesses. I like to test my knowledge. I like to test my knowledge. So yeah, they've put out The Bride Wore Black. They put out Pocket Money. I think the story of Adele H is also Truffaut. I think so. Hold on, let me actually see. Ba-ba-ba-boom. I still need to get the story of Adele H. Let's see. That is Truffaut, yes. Coincidentally, the story of Adele H stars Isabel Adjani, which we will be talking about very, very soon because Possession is finally getting a 4K release from Second Sight, which was hinted at, I think, earlier this year. So we will definitely be getting into that very, very soon here on Chasing Labels. But just going over some other stuff here. So they've put out, like I said, the story of Adele H. They've put out Mississippi Mermaid. They put out, I think, L'amour faux is also Truffaut. Nope, that's Jacques Rivette. That's Jacques Rivette. My bad. I knew that wasn't Truffaut. But anywho, Radiance is kind of scooping up the Region B rights of a few Truffaut films, including The Wild Child. So, The Wild Child is coming out, I believe, January 26th. Yep, January 26th, 2026. There you go. Let's see, region, and that's Region B locked. Now we have Blood of Revenge. So Blood of Revenge I did get to see. So Blood of Revenge is not quite the movie I thought it was going to be. When I heard the movie Blood of Revenge, I was expecting it to be an action film. I was expecting it to be like Sword of Doom or some other Japanese type of samurai film. Maybe not quite Harakiri, because what film is Harakiri? None. That's the answer there. I wasn't expecting Seven Samurai either, but this is a way more of a political drama, but not political, but politics in the sense like people going at each other, if you will. Let's read this here. So, Osaka, 1907. Yet again, I thought this was going to be like a feudal Japan samurai film, and it's not. It's from the earlier 20th century Japan. So we are talking after the Japanese era had pretty much ended. We're talking after Japan. So Japan in the 19th century, in the 1800s, mid 1800s, think of like 1860s, 1870s, around there, decided that they were going to industrialize. They decided that they were going to basically introduce Western influences into Japan and become more modern, if you will. Become modern. China decided not to do that, to China's detriment. China decided didn't do that until the 20th century, so they were behind everybody. But that's a little Japanese Chinese history. So Japan was, became more modern in the 19th century, and of course by the 20th century, you know, they're starting to grow as a nation, grow as a I would not they wouldn't really become a world power, if you will. I don't like to use that term because there really were no world powers until after World War II. But you understand what I'm saying. Being on the world political stage until World War II. But they started with certain things in the early 20th century. The I think that was when you had like the Franco-Russo War and stuff like that. And yeah, but anywho, Osaka, 1907. This is where we are. The upstart Hoshino gang tries to assassinate the boss of the Kyotatsu syndicate, who are in charge of the construction business. The attempt fails, but sets in motion a spiral of violence as the Hoshino sabotage building sites and kill a junior Kyotatsu member. When the old boss dies of his wounds, Senior Lieutenant Kikuchi decides to take on the Hoshino gang alone. Director Take Kato's first Yakuza film is a feast for the eyes, with bold set design, vivid colors, and daring shot compositions, bringing to life a timeless tale of honor and vengeance. Co-written by Red Peony Gambler creator Norifumi Suzuki and featuring a stunning central performance from Saruta, is one of the finest of Toei's classic chivalrous Yakuza films. So what we have here is a Yakuza film. Um, so I was thinking of a Japanese film. I was thinking of a samurai film, and it's a Yakuza film. There you go. So I had to adjust my mindset while watching the movie. This movie came out in 1965, and we've seen movies from Teikato before that were released uh, by Radiance. So let me take a quick look at that. So I the Executioner, By a Man's Face Shall You Know Him, Tokujiro, Lone Yakuza, The Tale of Oiwa's Ghost. Those are all Teikato films that Radiance has released before. Okay, so they're going back to the well, if you will. They're going back to the Japanese director well, if you will. So let's see what this movie has in store for special features. Let's see. Oh, there they are. High definition digital transfer, uncompressed mono PCM audio, Lice Are Scary, short film by Teikato, uh, Junko Fuji, Flower and Storm, a visual essay by Mark Schilling, New English subtitles, translation, reversible sleeve featuring new art, or original and newly commissioned art, I should say, limited edition booklet, and that's it. Limited 3,000 copies, region A and B. And that is it. That is it for Blood of Revenge. Now, I did not get to see Illustrious Corpses. Actually, hold on. Let me see when Blood of Revenge is actually coming out. That's also on the 26th of January. So now let's go see Illustrious Corpses. So, Illustrious Corpses like I said, I did not get to see this movie, so I don't know much about it. Let's see. When a series of Supreme Court judges are murdered, Inspector Rogas is sent to discover the truth. A procedural noir soon turns into a labyrinthine conspiracy thriller as corruption and institutional power converge. An investigative mystery by a titan of the form. Francesco Rossi's uh, urgent adaptation of Leonardo Sciascia's oh, yeah, boy, I probably butchered that. Novel is set to a haunting score by Pier uh, Piccone, and features legendary stars Charles Vanel, who was in The Wages of Fear. Max von Sydow is in the movie as well, and Fernando Rey, who was in The French Connection. So I know nothing about the movie other than I believe it's an Italian film. It sounds like an Italian political conspiracy thriller from 1976. But let's see what we have for special features. So, 4K restoration of the film by Cineteca di Bologna at l'Immagine Ritrovata and the Film Foundation. Original uncompressed mono PCM audio commentary by filmmaker Alex Cox. Okay, makes me want to watch this movie even more. Makes me want to watch it ASAP. Archive. Well, I'm going to end up buying this eventually anyway. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm trying to buy all of the Radiance releases. My current goal, which I've said a couple of times here, is I want to get at least 1 through 50 complete in order, and then I'll do like kind of a Radiance collection overview video of what I have. I'll just pretty much just fill my Radiance shelf. That's my mindset right now. I'm missing a couple in there. I'm missing 2 box sets and one single release to complete the 1 through 50. Getting the 2 box sets is the toughest part because these box sets, once they sell out and go out of print, sell for a lot of money on eBay, and there aren't a lot to choose from. Like there's not a lot that people post them on there. So it's tough for me to get them unless I just happen to come across, you know, a miracle, if you will. The loan release is still in print. I can still buy it, literally on Amazon. It's not an issue. It's the 2 box sets. It's the End of Civilization box set, and it's also the World Noir Volume 1 box set. I have World Noir Volume 2, which I was able to get, which is actually I think also out of print as well. But I need Volume 1, and then I need the End of Civilization box set. Those are the 2 big ones that I need to complete like the first 50. And then I'll do like a little shelf video of all that stuff. And I'm still like so far behind in terms of like ones I've got to get. For example, this Illustrious Corpses, pretty sure this is number 152. Yeah, this is number 152 in the collection, and I don't think I've gotten much past like 100. I don't think I do, and in terms of which individual numbers I have. So I'm still way, way behind. But ever so surely, I will catch up. I will catch up. But Radiance does not give you a break. They do not give you a break. Every single month, like clockwork, they announce new releases. Their next announcement will be November 5th. So we will see their February releases at that time. But let's get into the rest of these special features. So, where was I? Oh yeah, audio commentary by filmmaker Alex Cox, archival interview with director Francesco Rossi, archival interview with Francesco Rossi and Lino Ventura, new interview with Gaetano Morone, author of the cinema Francesco Rossi, and then that's it. And of course, you have reversible sleeve art. You got a limited edition booklet, and limited to 3,000 copies, and region A and B. And this is also coming out January 26th as well. So that is it for Radiance for January releases. You've got The Wild Child, which is a Francois Truffaut film. You've got Blood of Vengeance, and then you've got Illustrious Corpses. That's the 3 films from Radiance. All right, then. Let's see, where shall we go from here? Let's go over to Imprint. Imprint's got a lot to talk about, so let's make our way to there, shall we? I feel like we were just talking about Imprint, but they once again, they are regular like clockwork. So they've got two 4K big deluxe 4K UHD release limited edition sets that they're coming out with. That is of The Sword and the Sorcerer and The Beastmaster. Now, both of these movies have already gotten 4K releases here, I believe. At least The Beastmaster, most definitely, because I have it. And it's the one that we got here. Actually, they released them twice here. So the Beastmaster got a VSU release from Vinegar Syndrome and also got a 4K release, I think, from Shout recently as well. Let me look these up. Let me look these up on Blu-ray.com, just so I'm not giving out wrong information. Let's see, Beastmaster. Yeah. So, yeah, back in 2020, we got the Beastmaster from Vinegar Syndrome, their VSU line. And then on November 25th, we will be getting a 4K Ultra HD release of the Beastmaster from Shout Factory. Okay, and then Sword and Sorcerer. Sorcerer had a 4K release in 2022 from Shout Factory, and it's getting a Steelbook re-release soon from them as well. Let me see when the Steelbook. Yeah, the Steelbook is coming out in December. So if you're in the Region A land, chances are you already have access to these movies. There are people online I saw in comments saying, "Oh, why are they releasing these? We already have these already." And I'm like, "Well, they don't have them in Australia. That's the, they don't have them in Australia, so you got to keep that in mind of who's putting it out, which country it is, they're from, all this kind of stuff. So there you go. You don't have to get it if you already have them, but if you don't have them, you may want to look into these releases. Speaking of which, I don't want to. Let me see. Just in the interest of time, I've already talked about the Beastmaster. Let's see. Yeah, let's go into the Beastmaster, starring Mark Singer, Tanya Roberts, Rip Torn, and John Amos. The film is based on the 1959 novel by Andre Alice Norton, directed by Don Cascarelli. I think Don Cascarelli, if I remember correctly, he directed the Phantasm movies, or at least most of them. Yes, I think I follow him on social media, actually. So this is a 3 disc set. And if you've never seen The Beastmaster, it's classic 1980s sword and sorcery, fun adventure stuff. It's not meant to be like amazing, but it's entertaining. And, you got to put yourself in that 1980s mindset, put yourself into that type of into those type of shoes. Let's see what else we've got here in terms of special features. Or maybe not get so let me get to the description first. He was the unborn crown prince of a family slaughtered by the lords of evil. When he grows to manhood, fearless warrior Dar battles his way through a wasteland of sorcery and black magic with the help of a cunning hunter and a beautiful slave girl on the ultimate quest for freedom and vengeance. So he is the son of, I believe, like a former king who gets overthrown by some evil bad guys. I haven't seen this movie in years, actually. I don't think I've seen this movie in 4 or 5 years. And they decide and he grows up and is going to get his vengeance. It's going to get his vengeance. And that's basically the premise of the movie. So what we have here is disc 1 is the 4K UHD theatrical cut. Dolby Vision, audio commentary by co-writer and director Don Cascarelli, co-writer and producer Paul Pepperman, moderated by filmmaker Joe Lynch. Audio commentary by co-director and writer Don Cascarelli and co-writer Paul Pepperman from 2001. So you got 2 audio commentaries there. Then on disc 2, which is the Blu-ray of the theatrical cut, you get those 2 audio commentaries plus the Beastmaster Chronicles feature-length documentary by director Elijah Drenner from 2020. And then disc 3 is also a Blu-ray disc, special visual effects cut. You get those 2 audio commentaries again, as well as the Saga of the Beastmaster, which is the making of documentary. Yeah, which is different than the other making of documentary. And then you get the Super 8 millimeter home movies shot by James Dodson, with audio commentary by writer-director Don Cascarelli and writer-producer Paul Pepperman. Archival interview with actor Mark Singer. Now, hold on for 1 second here. I'm gonna go get my copy of the Beastmaster. So here's my copy of the Beastmaster. And nope, here's my copy of Six String Samurai because I grabbed the wrong one. I told you guys it's Monday. It's Monday, so I'm I'm so far off my game. Uh, now here we go. Bop, 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 bop. Here's my copy of the Beastmaster. Okay, so I am off my game. So here's the VSU copy of the Beastmaster. Front and back, still really, really nice. I found this on eBay a few years ago. Luckily, found it for a really nice price. I'm pretty sure you can still find the 4K. Let me go to Vinegar Syndrome's website to see if they still have copies of just the 4K. I know this, special edition with the magnet casing and all that kind of stuff is probably long, long gone. It was long gone when I looked for it years ago. This was their first ever VSU release. Let's see. It may be sold out in every form. It is sold out in every form. Okay. That makes sense. I was wondering why Shout Factory had it. So it is sold out, at least from the Vinegar Syndrome website. But you can probably track it down on eBay and stuff. And I'm just curious if it lists the special features here. Let's see. So this is a really, really nice edition. I have to say that the VSU editions from Vinegar Syndrome are probably their nicest editions. So it's a nice slipcover. Here's the case. Here are the discs. And special features. Just curious. Yeah, I think it's got those same audio tracks. Brand new feature-length documentary by Elijah Drenner. The Saga of the Beastmaster, an archival making of documentary, that's on here as well. So I think the imprint release has kind of all the same special features. I'm just gonna go with that because that seems to be the case. So there is a crossover there. I want to make sure that people kind of knew that you would be getting kind of the same thing if you indeed ordered the imprint release. For those of you who already have the Vinegar Syndrome release. Let me put this back. So that's the Beastmaster. Now I don't have Sword and Sorcerer to do like a little comparison sake. But let's go over to the Sword and Sorcerer to see what they've got cooking over there. Okay, so the Sword and the Sorcerer. Limited edition steelbook and 3D lenticular hard case, plus a double-sided poster. I didn't even check to see what the Beastmaster has. So the Beastmaster does have some swag to it as well. So it is a 4K plus Blu-ray limited edition steelbook in 3D lenticular hard case, plus a double-sided poster. So this is a deluxe edition from Imprint. And their deluxe editions are very, very nice. Let's see. So Sword and the Sorcerer. See what it says. Box office smash, The Sword and the Sorcerer joins the Imprint collection on 4K UHD and Blu-ray. Talon, a daring mercenary who conquers castles and dungeons alike with his lethal three-bladed sword, learns that he is the prince of a kingdom controlled by an evil sorcerer and is thrust into the wildest fight of his life. Can Talon rescue the beautiful princess and slay the warlock, or will he fall prey to the black magic of medieval mayhem? Starring Lee Corsley, Kathleen Beller, Simon McCorkindale, George Maharis, Richard Lynch, and Richard Mould. This is the directorial debut of beloved B-movie author Albert Pyun. Yes. The special release is strictly limited to 1,500 copies. All right, so we got just 2 discs. Okay. So Dolby Vision 2160p ultra definition presentation on 4K UHD, audio commentary by director Alba Pune, by film critic John Charles, audio commentary by director Alba Pune, moderated by author/film critic Chris Gore. That's on disc 1. Then we've got disc 2, which is just a Blu-ray, which has those 2 audio commentaries, plus Tales of the Ancient Empire interview with director Albert Pune, a Princess Tale interview with actress Kathleen Beller, Mightier Than the Sword interview with co-writer, co-producer John Stuckmeyer, Master of the Blade interview with editor Marshall Harvey, The Specialist and the Effects interview with special effects and artist Alan Apone, Brothers in Arms interview with special effect artist Chiodos Brothers, dedicated to Jack Tyree, stuntman featurette, and then Trailers from Hell, The Sword, and the Sorcerer featuring editor Marshall Harvey. And you have theatrical trailers, TV spot, image gallery, and that is it. So that is the 2 kind of limited edition deluxe releases of the Beastmaster and the Sword and the Sorcerer from Imprint. Now going down to Imprint's November bundle release or November releases, we've got a couple of big, pretty interesting films here. We've got Withnail and I, which is getting its third release in the last year or so. So we've got the Criterion release, we have the Arrow release, and now we have the Imprint release of Withnail and I. And then we have the movie Eleni. We have the movie called The Lightship. And what else do we have as I turn the page? We have Fish Tank, and we have 24/7, and we have Priest. Okay. So working backwards here. We have the movie Priest from 1994, which has... I forgot who directed this. Antonio Bird. Okay, who directed Ravenous. So Linus Roache, Tom Wilkinson, and Robert Carlyle star in a harrowing tale of faith and identity from director Antonia Bird. A young priest in inner city Liverpool falls in love with a man and finds himself facing a crisis in identity and faith. Okay, that's kind of what the movie's about, but there's so much more going on in there. Okay. So, this movie, Linus Roache and Tom Wilkinson are priests at a church, and they're 2 different kinds of priests. Tom Wilkinson is very much a liberal progressive priest who is very much challenging church teachings and challenging tradition and challenging all kinds of stuff, right? And the Linus Roache priest is very much... he's younger, he's more conservative, he's not as a liberal firebrand as Tom Wilkinson's priest is, but he does harbor a big secret, the fact that he is gay, and he is also having relationships with men. So obviously harboring a deep secret that is against church teaching, against church practice, all this kind of stuff. So has that conflict of faith within him, but there's also another issue that arises. He takes confession from a young girl who's being abused by her father, and he is caught in that moral quandary. To me, it's not a moral quandary at all. Okay, so how do I explain this to non-Catholics? When a Catholic priest does confession with somebody, everything that's said there, you're not supposed to reveal it from Catholic teaching perspective. So he falls within this moral quandary of not being able to address this massive issue of this abuse, and he kind of keeps it to himself, creating all kinds of problems. Now, in my perspective, throw that garbage teaching out into the wind. Throw it away. Throw it away. Throw it away. If something as horrific of that like that is happening and you know about it, I don't doesn't matter if you are a priest, it doesn't matter who you are. You've got to do something about it. And he doesn't in this movie. And well, it's not that he doesn't, he tries to do a couple of things, but they don't work. They're passive things. You know, for example, he tells the child that's being abused, "Hey, tell that person to stop doing it." And I'm like, "Come on, come on." He confronts the individual about it, and it doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? It, it reaches a point where I'm yelling at my screen as a viewer. I'm like, "Do something about this," and he doesn't, and it creates a lot of problems. So he's got a conflict within himself on multiple fronts. He's got obviously an outside literal conflict outside of himself. There's a lot of things going on in here. And yeah, it's an interesting, fascinating movie from that perspective. Of course, what would also end up happening later on in the church, we talked about Spotlight, actually, the movie Spotlight, recently on an episode of Movies Down Memory Lane, which of course connects to this pretty 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 well, actually. And yeah, so this is a very interesting movie that came out in 1994, which is very much a precursor to the things that would then come to light in the early 2000s in the Catholic Church. Fascinating connections we see here. But the movie overall, I thought was actually rather good. It's rather good. It's a movie that asks a lot of questions, doesn't provide a lot of answers because these are very complicated questions and complicated discussions that are still going on within the world of religion to this day. So the movie's got a lot going for it, or a lot going on in it, I should say. So for special features, we've got 1080p high definition presentation of the movie on Blu-ray from a 2K scan. Restoration of the original 35mm negative by Imprint Films and the BFI. And then we have a new interview with actor Linus. I can't pronounce this guy's name. Roche. It's either Roche or Roche. Or Roche. Q&A with Jimmy McGovern from BAFTA Screenwriters Lecture Series. New interview with film professor Lucy Bolton. And that's it. So that is the movie Priest. And then we've got the movie 24/7. Now, this is a fascinating movie. I didn't know what to think going into this movie, and I was pleasantly surprised with what I've seen. So, the punchy 90s drama from prolific UK director Shane Meadows, who directed This Is England, stars Bob Hoskins. A man opens a boxing club for the aimless youngsters in his town, hoping to give them a new purpose and an opportunity to achieve something of which the whole community can be proud. Yeah, that's pretty much about what the movie is about. It's 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 like a low budgeted indie British film starring Bob Hoskins, who is this guy who opens up a boxing gym in order to give the aimless youth something to do other than get into mischief, get into trouble, and go down bad paths. And he's trying to be this mentor figure to several of them, or many of them, or all of them, really. And it's a fascinating movie on so many different levels. It feels like a Jim Jarmusch film. It um yeah, it feels like a Jim Jarmusch film in the sense like it's very laid back in its approach to all of these themes and all of these things. It's like Jim Jarmusch meets Mike Lee. Jim Jarmusch in its style and its presentation of the movie and all of that, and also Mike Lee because it's very much commentating on society. It's a social commentary on youth culture within Britain at a specific time, their kind of lost youth and aimlessness and all that kind of stuff. And Mike Lee is all about that stuff. Mike Lee is all about social commentaries of the working class, the lower class, political themes, all kinds of stuff. So it gave me those two vibes very much so. Really good film. Really good film. So for special features, we have a 1080p high presentation on Blu-ray from a new 2K scan and restoration of the original 35mm negative by Imprint Films and the BFI, audio commentary by director Shane Meadows and writer Paul Fraser. A new interview with actor Tony Nyland, a new interview with actor Johan Myers, new interview with actor Carl Collins, new interview with director of photography Ashley Rowe, and that's it. And that's it. But it's called 24/7 from 1997, coincidentally. And then we have the movie Fish Tank, another movie similar to 24/7. If you've not seen Fish Tank, it's a movie directed by Andrea Arnold. It's a British film. This is part of the Criterion Collection already for many, many years, actually. I think since it came out. So 15-year-old Mia is is in an ongoing war with her family and the world around her. It isn't until she meets her mother's new boyfriend Connor, who she feels she can connect with, who feels that she feels she can connect with anyone, and then everything changes. Um, yeah, it's a movie starring Katie Jarvis and Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender plays the mother's boyfriend, and Katie Jarvis was, I think, just a girl that Andrea Arnold found on the street, found just randomly. And that's the thing about this movie. The style of Andrea Arnold is very different than anything else you'll see. She is very much a director of less style, like just like really raw style, broken down style, and very much kind of cinema verite, documentary esque style, very similar to the vein of a John Cassavetes film. Kind of very unpolished. You can tell there's probably a lot of improvisation when it comes to camera work, comes to acting and directing and all this kinds of stuff. Very unique. She also directed the movie American Honey, which I think is very, very good as well. And I've been a big fan of Andrea Arnold for many, many years. If you haven't seen Fish Tank yet, it's good. It's really, really good. So what we have here for special features: 1080p high definition presentation on Blu-ray, new interview with actor Katie Jarvis, new interview with actor Rebecca Griffin, Wasp short film, which is also really, really good, archival interview with the cast, um, the dance scene featurette, stills gallery, and then that's it. So I'm curious what was on the Criterion, because the Criterion's an older Blu-ray. It's not they can't be much on it. Let's see. Fish Tank. It's not something I actually have in my collection, but it's a movie I've always wanted to get. I've seen it at every single sale. So let's see. The Blu-ray for Criterion has 3 short films by director Andrea Arnold. It has Milk, Dog, and the Oscar-winning Wasp. Okay, so there you go. There it has a new video interview with actor Kirsten Waring, audio conversation with actor Michael Fassbender from 2009, audition footage, stills gallery, and that is it. So a little different. I'm really interested in the new interviews. But yeah, that's Fish Tank. That's a movie from 2009. Let me go to the other stuff. It's on the previous page. And we've got the movie, the Lightship. So, the Lightship is a Jerzy Skolimowski film. Academy Award-winning actor Robert Duvall and Golden Globe Award-winning actor Klaus Maria Brandauer star in this gripping thriller from critically acclaimed filmmaker Jerzy Skolimowski. Just when U.S. Coast Guard Captain Miller takes his teenage son Alex to his lightship off the coast of Virginia, Calvin Gaspari and 2 criminal accomplices on the run from the police decide to hijack it. Based on the German novella of the same name by author Siegfried Lenz, the film features early performances from actors Arliss Howard and William Forsythe. Yeah, Bill Forsythe is in this movie. So it's exactly what the movie is. The synopsis suggests it is. You've got the whole movie set on this lightship, which is basically, think of a. You know what lighthouses are? Think of a lighthouse, but a ship version of a lighthouse, and it's usually anchored at sea and performing the same duty as a lighthouse. That's what a lightship is, at least from what I understand. I could be wrong. But This movie takes place entirely on it. You've got the Robert Duvall character comes on it initially, and he pretends to be kind of something he's not, and then his accomplices come aboard and they kind of take over the ship. But what they don't factor in is that the crew decides to fight back against them, and then things obviously escalate from there. So there's a 1080p high definition presentation of the movie, new audio commentary by film writer and historian Michael Brook, our friend Michael Brook, interview with editor Barry Vince, and that is it for the Lightship. And then we've got the movie Eleni, which is a fascinating film. So this movie, so John Malkovich is in it, Kate Nelligan, Linda Hunt, and Glenn Headley star in this devastating drama adapted from the memoir by journalist Nicholas Gage. Her only crime was helping her son escape to America. Her punishment was death. Years later, a New York Times reporter is determined to uncover the story of this heroic woman and find the man who murdered her. Nicholas Gage is the reporter. He is her son. Directed by Oscar-winning filmmaker Peter Yates, who directed The Dresser, which is put out on Blu-ray by Indicator, reuniting with screenwriter Steve Tessich following their earlier collaboration on the acclaimed sports drama Breaking Away. So, this is a really good movie. Yeah, it's a movie, like I said, based on a true story. John Malkovich plays this character, Nicholas Gage, who is a New York Times reporter, and he is going back to Greece. That's what happened. Yeah, during the Greek Civil War. So the Greek Civil War happened from 1946 to 1949, and it was the Greek government versus, I believe, communist uprising, if you will. And what happened at the time, of course, who gets caught in the crosshairs of war, revolutions, civil wars, any type of armed conflict? The people who get caught in it the most are innocent civilians. We see it today. We've seen it throughout history. And that was the case in this 1940s Greek Civil War. And what happened is the mother of this New York Times writer, Nicholas Gage, was executed during it. So he is going back to Greece to find out what happened. What were the events that occurred surrounding the death of his mother, and to find the people responsible because they are still alive. This was, I believe, set in the 1980s. So this would have happened like, a couple of decades after the events occurred. And so the people responsible are still alive. So he's trying to track them down. And so this movie jumps back and forth between present day, which would be, I think, the 1980s, and also the events that happened at the time. So we jump back and forth in between the two. And it's some harrowing stuff. It's really harrowing, hard to watch things because, innocent people's lives are, lost because of all of this. There's abuse of power, there's ideology abuse, there's all kinds of things going on. Yeah, but I thought it was a really good movie. It's a movie I had never heard of before, actually. So for special features, we have a 1080p high definition presentation of the movie, audio commentary by film historian Scott Harrison, and that's it. Unfortunately, that's all we get is that audio commentary. But last thing here we have is Withnail and I. I don't have to go through this again. I've already gone through this movie twice on Chasing Labels. So let's get to the special features, shall we? I can tell you it was voted as the 29th greatest British film of all time by the BFI. This beloved offbeat film is adored by critics, fans, and filmmakers alike. Yet again, like I said, this has already been released in Region A land from Criterion on 4K and Blu-ray. It's been released in 4K is region free. So technically it's been released in the UK by Arrow. Take your pick of which edition you want. If you want both, buy both. I don't care. Heck, if you want to buy all three, buy all three. Who gives a shit? 1080p high definition presentation on Blu-ray. So this is only a Blu-ray of the movie. So it's not a 4K. Okay, so that is I guess you could say the main difference between the three Withnail and I high definition releases is we've got two 4Ks and a Blu-ray. So 1080p high definition presentation of the movie. Audio commentary by stars Paul McGann and Ralph Brown. Audio commentary by writer director Bruce Robinson. Withnail and I, Handmade Films and I. Um, Postcards from Penrith featurette. Bruce Robinson interview. Withnail and Us featurette. Withnail and I drinking game. The Withnail and I swearathon. Trailers from Hell. Josh Olson on Withnail and I, and that is it. I would say out of all three of the releases, this one probably has, I want to say less special features than the other two. At least the other two have different. I know from right off the bat, just remembering comparing those two, that they have different features than this one has, or at least they've got stuff that this one doesn't have. Yeah, I should say. Yeah. So that's with Nail and I. At this point, I think many of us have our choices. Many of us either have the movie or at least know which choices we have. I actually don't have the movie yet because I can't decide whether I want the Criterion or if I want the Arrow release. I've got to make that decision eventually. I saw everybody buying it during the most recent Criterion sale, and I got really, really fear of missing out feelings about it, and I got to do something about that soon. So that is it from Imprint. That is their November releases, plus their two 4K UHD limited deluxe editions of the Sword and the Sorcerer, the Beastmaster. Let's see, for one more time, Withnail and I, Eleni, the Lightship, and then we've got Fish Tank, 24/7, and Priest. Alrighty then. Let's move on. You know what? I think we will go over to Indicator now. That's what we will do. Let me go and see. Okay, we can see what we're doing on time. Okay, hour and a half. We're an hour and a half in. So let's see. We'll go over to Indicator. They have 3 new releases. No, they have 4 new releases technically. 3 releases are UK only, and 1 is US only. So these are, I think which month are these? These are their January releases. Okay, I always forget where we are in the world. So we have the movie Ivy, we have the movie All My Sons, we have the movie Undertow, and then we have a box set of movies. I think it's 3 movies of Cliff in Color, the Technicolor musicals of Cliff Richard, 1961 to 1964. So let's start with Ivy. So I've seen Ivy, but I don't remember it. All I know is that Joan Fontaine is in the movie, and I've always loved Joan Fontaine as an actress. When she meets the handsome and wealthy Miles Rushworth, gold-digging Ivy will stop at nothing to get her hands on him, including murdering her husband, oh boy, and framing her lover for the crime. But Inspector Orpington has his suspicions, as he should. Scripted by Alfred Hitchcock collaborator and Night of the Demon co-writer Charles Bennett, photographed by the great Russell Meddy, and produced by legendary production designer William Cameron Menzies. Oh wow, William Cameron Menzies. Ivy is a stylish crime melodrama. It's all kind of coming back to me now. Yes, it is. So it's a little Hitchcockian, as you can see here with the little Hitchcock collaborator connection. Yeah, little. I got it. 1947. So it is it's in the period of film noir. So it could be a little film noirish if you wanted to. I don't know. I don't know if you would call it that, but it fits the bill. It fits the bill. So let's see what we have here for special features for Ivy. High definition remaster, original mono audio commentary with academic and film curator Eloise Ross. Neil Sinyard on Ivy, an in-depth appreciation of the film, and director Sam Wood by the writer and film historian. Suspense, the story of Ivy from 1945, radio adaptation of Marie Belloc Lowndes' novel starring Ann Richards, Raymond Lawrence, and Wally Maher. Yeah. Original theatrical trailer, image gallery, limited edition exclusive booklet, and then it says UK premiere on Blu-ray, limited edition of 3,000 copies for the UK. So this is a Region B locked release. I'm assuming. I thought there would be a US release, but I don't think there is one yet. Nope, there is not one yet. But let's move over to the next release. Let's see. Get rid of that. Just getting rid of some tabs. Now let's go over to All My Sons. And this is a movie starring Edward G. Robinson and Burt Lancaster. Let's see. Another movie that I know I've seen, but I cannot remember. Let's see. Irving Reyes directs a stellar cast including Edward G. Robinson and Burt Lancaster. In the film noir classic All My Sons, Joe Keeler frames his business partner Herb when a shipment of faulty airplane components leads to the death of several pilots. After the war, his son Chris, Burt Lancaster, is engaged to Herb's daughter. Herb's daughter Anne, and family tensions begin to rise. Okay, I think I kind of remember this. Adapted from the hit Broadway play by Arthur Miller, who wrote Death of a Salesman, and photographed by the great Russell Meddy, All My Sons is a fascinating exploration of betrayal and guilt. I do remember this movie. Yeah. I don't remember why I watched it, though. I think I may have watched it just on my own. Or did it get a... Okay, so it got a Blu-ray release here in 2022 from Kino. That's why I watched it. Oh, I remember this movie now. Yes. It's all flooding back to me. Like a wave. Just all flooding back to me and hitting me all at once. And yeah, so let's see what we have here for special features. Audio commentary with critics and writers Glenn Kenny and Farron Smith Neame. Screen directors Playhouse All My Sons. Radio adaptation of Chester Erskine's screenplay starring Edward G. Robinson reprising his role from the film, and Jeff Chandler. Lux Radio Theater All My Sons, a second radio adaptation of the screenplay. This stars Burt Lancaster, who reprises his role. And then original theatrical trailer, Image Gallery, limited edition exclusive booklet with new essay by Philip Concannon and some other stuff. UK premiere on Blu-ray. Let's see if that Kino release had any special features on it. Of course, there's no review on Blu-ray.com for it, and there's no... I would have to go to Kino's website to see if there's anything on it. I don't remember if there was any special features on it. Keep in mind, that was 3 years ago that Kino release came out. Let's see. So the Kino release has a new audio commentary by film historian Kat Ellinger and author film historian Lee Gambin. Okay, that does change things dramatically. Of course, the great Lee Gambin passed away, and then Kat Ellinger is one of our friends here on Chasing Labels, and she's always done incredible work. So that does change things in terms of which one I want to get. It does change things dramatically. But let's move on to Undertow. Yet again, another movie I've seen, but once again, I watch so many movies that sometimes you just lose track. So this is actually from William Castle. So from director William Castle comes Undertow, a riveting tale of betrayal starring Scott Bradley, Dorothy Hart, and Bruce Bennett. Reformed Chicago mobster Tony Regan is framed for the murder of his former boss, Big Jim, but the uncle of his fiancée, Sally, forced to go on... Big Jim is the uncle of his fiancée, Sally. Forced to go on the run, he seeks to clear his name with the help of an old friend. Featuring supportive turns from John Russell and Peggy Dow, and an early appearance from Rock Hudson, Undertow is a superior film noir. All right. High-definition remaster, original mono audio commentary with film historian and author Lee Gambin. Jose Arroyo on Undertow, in-depth analysis including select scenes, audio commentary by the writer and academic. Rock Hudson, The Last Guy You'd Expect, audio presentation by Richard Dyer, author of The Stars, recorded at the National Film Theatre in London. Image Gallery, and let's see, limited edition exclusive booklet, and yeah, UK premiere on Blu-ray. I want to see if this has... I think this may have a Blu-ray release too. Vigo Let me see if so. Undertow maybe in one of the Kino box sets. Yes, it is. So, Film Noir: The Dark Side of Cinema box set number 12 has Undertow. Okay, right on. So, new audio commentary for Undertow by Scott Brady's son Tim Turney, and Professor Film Scholar Jason A. Ney. Okay. Let me see what else we've got here. So that is it from Undertow, and then now we have the box set. Unfortunately, I did not get to see any of the movies in this box set, so I don't have much to say about them. All I can say, just from off the top of my head, is that The Young Ones is directed by Sidney J. Furie, Summer Holiday is directed by Peter Yates, and Wonderful Life is directed by Sidney Furie as well. And these are all from the 1960s. Let's see what they have here in terms of what they say about him. It says Cliff in Color, the Technicolor musicals of Cliff Richard, brings together three hit-packed Technicolor musicals starring British rock and roll sensation Cliff Richard, accompanied by The Shadows and some of British cinema's best-loved stars, including Robert Morley, Carol Gray, Una Stubbs, Susan Hampshire, Melvin Hayes, and Richard O'Sullivan. Let's see. In 1961's originally released in the U.S. as Wonderful to Be Young, in 1961's The Young Ones, originally released in the US as Wonderful to Be Young, Cliff leads a talent show in order to save his youth club from ruthless property developer. 1963's Summer Holiday sees Cliff and his chums borrow a double-decker bus for a cross-European road trip. And 1964's Wonderful Life, titled Swingers Paradise Stateside, has a shipwrecked Cliff and Shadows stumble onto a film set. Featuring the directing talents of Sidney J. Furie and Peter Yates, this box set also includes the Shadows 1964 short film Rhythm and Greens. So what do we have here for special features? 4K restorations of The Young Ones and Summer Holiday, high definition remaster of Wonderful Life, and you've got an audio commentary on The Young Ones with director Sidney J. Furie, filmmaker Paul Lynch, and journalist Waylon Wall. Audio commentary on Summer Holiday with director Peter Yates and journalist Jonathan Southcott. Audio commentary on Wonderful Life with director Sidney J. Furie, filmmaker Paul Lynch, and journalist Waylon Wall. And then you've got The Years Have Flown. The Years Have Flown. Okay. Cinematographer Robert Vidgen talks about his work on The Young Ones, Cat and the Canaries. Vidgen recalls the production of Wonderful Life. A British phenomenon, composer and author Neil Brand examines Cliff Richard and the Shadows' rise to fame in the burgeoning era leading to the swinging 60s and how they compare to other artists of that time. Local and Global Heresies, visual essay by filmmaker and film historian Daniel Kramer, examining the career and directing style of Sidney J. Furie. Interview with Bob Stanley, the musician and author, focuses on Richard's performance in Summer Holiday and the making of the film. There's a lot going on here, guys. It's a massive set. Rhythm and Greens, the comedic short, on the set of The Young Ones, silent behind-the-scenes footage of the movie production. Cliff drives London bus, British Pathé newsreel showing Richard learning to drive the bus, featured in Summer Holiday. First Night to Remember, newsreel footage of Summer Holiday's West End opening night. Cliff meets new lady. Richard and Wonderful Life's leading lady Susan Hampshire meet in front of the British press. Yeah, I'm not going through the rest of these. There's so much here. So this is a massive box set from obviously tons of work, tons of digging through archives to get these special features. There's like another 5 more of these. I'm so exhausted I can't go through them. Limited edition exclusive 100-page book is included with this set as well. I know nothing about this. I don't know who Cliff Richard is. I don't know anything about this, but it looks like if you buy this box, you will know everything you want to about this, about Cliff Richard, about these movies, about their cultural impact in British cinema, all kinds of stuff. And this is a US premiere on Blu-ray, and this is a US only box set. So I think you can only find this at US retailers, Diabolic DVD, Orbit DVD, MVD, etc., etc. So, and yeah, Region A. So that is it for my friends over at Indicator. We've got the movies Ivy, All My Sons, Undertow, and then this big time box set, Cliff and Color, the Technicolor musicals of Cliff Richard, 1961 through 1964. I'm curious how well that's going to sell, because if it's a US only box set, pretty sure there are region B folks who have region free players. But either way, um, I'm curious. Yeah, so we will see all of that in the future. So that is it from Indicator. All right, now let's stay in the UK. Let's stay geographically in the UK with Second Sight. Alrighty then, we've got two big ones here. Two big ones. We've got Second Sight is putting out their release of Possession Limited Edition 4K UHD and Blu-ray release that's coming December 8th of Possession. They're also doing Re-Animator as well, which is interesting to me because Arrow has already put out their edition of Re-Animator. But anywho, let's talk about Possession, shall we? This is the Andrei Zulawski masterwork. This is an incredible, incredible movie. This movie is. There are movies that come along that have the hype around them. Sometimes they don't live up to the hype. Sometimes they do. This movie definitely lives up to the hype. This movie is great. This movie is fantastic. Starring Isabella Johnny, Sam Neill. Okay, a woman starts exhibiting increasingly disturbing behavior after asking her husband for a divorce. Suspicions of infidelity soon give way to something far more sinister. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. If you don't know anything else about this movie, even if you've seen clips of this movie out of context, you're not going to know what's going on. You're just not going to know what's going on. It's that type of movie. Andrei Zulawski, I've got to get more of his work. There was a box set released several years ago that I think is out of print from Eureka that had several of his films in it. I kind of want it. I kind of hate myself for not buying it at the time, but I wasn't too familiar with him, so therefore I missed out on it, and I think it sold out very quickly. But Possession is the movie that people buzz about all of the time, and people are buzzing about this release for good reason. Second Sight does really nice releases. They are expensive, but they're worth the price. For a single movie, they usually typically do single movie editions. They have done a couple of box sets. They just came out with the Pusher trilogy, and they've also come out with Ginger Snaps trilogy as well. But typically it's single movie releases. I have their release of The Guest. I have their release of The Hitcher, which is one of my favorite releases of the last several years. I have their release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I have their release of Your Next. I've got, yeah, there's so much more of their releases that I do want. I'm just looking at my shelf right now of what I've got. But this is a candidate for best release of the year. Best release of the year. I'll say that. So, special features. New producer approved 4K restoration presented in HDR with Dolby Vision. Dual format 3-disc edition including 1 UHD disc and 2 Blu-rays with main feature and bonus features on both formats. Okay. The North American re-edit of the movie, newly restored from an archival print. New audio commentary by Alexandra Heller-Nicholas and Allison Taylor. Audio commentary by director Andrei Zulawski, moderated by Daniel Bird. Audio commentary by Frederick Tootin, moderated by Daniel Bird. New audio commentary by Daniel Bird and Manuela Lazic for the North American edit. The Horror of Normality, Guillermo del Toro on Possession. Oh, yes. The Shadow We Carry, Kat Ellinger on Possession. Oh, yes. Repossessed, the film's UK and US reception. Andrei Zulawski, director, archive documentary. The Divided City, the Berlin locations, The Sound of Possession, an interview with composer Andrei Korzinski. Our Friend in the West, an interview with producer Christian Ferry. Basha, a featurette on poster artist Barbara Basha. Baranowski, The Other Side of the Wall, The Making of Possession, and then you have an archival interview with Zulawski, and deleted scenes, theatrical trailer, and then you get some little extra goodies here. Rigid slipcase with Bosch's original theatrical artwork, 220-page hardback book with new essays by a ton of people. Then you have a 211-page original shooting script with notes by Andrei Zulawski and Frederick Tutin, and then 6 collector's art cards. When I said this had potential for release of the year, this has potential for release of the year, in my opinion. But yes, this is coming out in December. What did I say? December 8th? Yes, December 8th. So get in your pre-orders now. You can pre-order on the Second Sight website, and I think you can probably pre-order. I wonder if you can I'm going to check Orbit DVD right now, actually, because I may actually have to. There is a pre-order available. This does come out in their super limited deluxe edition of it's about it's $65. It's not cheap, but you can get the standard edition that I think has just all of the on disc content and none of the extra swag, if you will. No, it doesn't have the books. It doesn't have the art cards or anything like that. That's typically how Second Sight does their releases. You got the big deluxe goods, and then you got the regular one that's a little bit more affordable. Because a lot of people sometimes don't have the shelf space, and they don't really care about all of the extra goods like the books and the art cards and all that kind of stuff. I get it. Every collector's different. So that is Possession. Like I said, emphasize this again. December 8th, potential release of the year. Let's see. Well, I've got to go and I've got to find their info on Re-Animator because we actually check to see if they have it here. That's not how you spell Re-Animator. Trying to see if there's a. Ah, here it is. So they don't have. Actually, maybe I just didn't look in the right place. So I'm on the Second Sight website. They don't have Re-Animator up yet to pre-order. Excuse me. Because I want to get the info on it, like what's the special features and all that kind of stuff. But they do have it available to pre-order over at Orbit DVD, so I guess I'll just read from here because they've got all the info. So if you've never seen Re-Animator before, it's a classic, horror film. It really is. It's directed by Stuart Gordon, starring Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton. It's based on H.P. Lovecraft story, I believe. Coincidentally, H.P. Lovecraft is buried literally 10 minutes from my house. A gifted but highly troubled new med student unleashes hell on a university when he discovers a serum that can reanimate dead flesh. It isn't long until the campus is overrun by the undead, placing the faculty and his fellow students in grave danger. Now, there is a sequel called Bride of the Re-Animator, I believe. Not as good. I don't think it's directed by Stuart Gordon either, but this is the classic original. You get a new 4K restoration approved by by producer Brian Yuzna, UHD presentation in HDR with Dolby Vision, dual format 3-disc edition, 1 UHD and 2 Blu-rays with the main feature and bonus features on both discs. Includes the integral version in HD, new audio commentary by Eddie Falvey, audio commentary with director Stuart Gordon, audio commentary with producer Brian Yuzna, and actors Bruce Abbott, Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, and Robert Sampson. The Cosmic Horror of H.P. Lovecraft, a video essay by Mike Munzer. Re-Animator at 40, conversation with actors Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton. And producer Brian Yuzna, piece by piece, cutting Re-Animator, an interview with editor Lee Percy, Susie Sorority, and the Good College Boy, an interview with actor Carolyn Purdy Gordon, the horror of it all, the legacy and impact of Re-Animator, Barbara Crampton in conversation, a guide to Lovecraftian cinema, Re-Animator Resurrectus. We have an interview with director Stuart Gordon and producer Brian Yuzna, interview with writer Dennis Powley, interview with composer Richard Band, interview with former Fangoria editor Tony Timpone, extended scenes, deleted scenes, theatrical trailer, TV spots, Stills Gallery. And then of course, it comes with a rigid slipcase with new artwork by Krishna Shenoy, 120-page book with new essays by a bunch of people, 6 collectible art cards. That is it. All right. That is it for Re-Animator. This is also coming out December 8th as well. Um, yeah, 2 more second sights I've got to add to my collection. But that is it for second sight. So we've got Possession, we've got Re-Animator, both getting big deluxe limited edition 4K UHD releases coming out December 8th. Possession is the one, guys. It's the one I've been waiting for. I would say my whole life, but I feel like that's overselling it. But let's move on from second sight. Let's go over to Dogma. Talk about something that's been long waited. So Dogma is being put out by Umbrella on 4K UHD. I know Lionsgate is putting out their own edition of it, but this is the one you want if indeed you want a big old deluxe edition or just in general. So several different editions of Kevin Smith's film Dogma is getting released by Umbrella. Uh, there is the End is Nigh Dogma 4K Blu-ray. There's a big old collector T-shirt bundle. This comes with everything. This is the big old enchilada here. This comes with everything. You can buy the movie just by itself, the 4K UHD and Blu-ray, edition. You can buy just a regular collector's edition that doesn't include some of the extra swag. Just go to Umbrella, shop.umbrellaent.com.au, and you will see all of the options there. The reason why this is so important to many of us who are both Kevin Smith fans, movie collectors, etc., etc. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So the Blu-ray and DVD, you could say, of Dogma, Kevin Smith's film from 1998, has been out of print for many, many years for a couple of reasons. Well, the main reason is that it was made by Miramax. So once Miramax was kind of chopped into oblivion many years ago, and also when the Weinstein Company became, non-existent either, the rights to it kind of, went into the ether. It became complicated, if you will. So, when, Miramax was sold to Disney, and then, of course, the Weinstein Company became a thing. It's a rights issues thing, I should say. So, and then the Weinstein Company obviously dissolved after the whole thing with Harvey Weinstein. And then, so the rights, like I said, rights issues. So Kevin Smith recently made efforts to acquire the movie. I don't think people realize this, but usually directors don't own their own films. Usually it's the production company that owns the movies, and the directors don't own them. Depending on the way the contracts are drawn up, all this kind of legal mumbo jumbo and all this kind of stuff. But Kevin Smith did not own Dogma, but he wanted it back. He wanted it, because it's his movie. He wants it back. So he recently acquired it. They went in and did a remastering and restoration, all that stuff, and he's been exhibiting it across the country, all around. As he does with a lot of his movies. He brings his movies and shows them at festivals and shows them at conventions and shows them at special screenings and all kinds of stuff. He's a man of the people. That's kind of why I love Kevin Smith. He's what happened if a movie fan became a filmmaker. That's kind of what Kevin Smith is. He's a very real dude in that regard. And his movies very much reflect that. For all their warts and all, for all their issues and all that kind of stuff, I've always have a strong affinity for Kevin Smith and his movies because of certain very genuine reasons. Either way, it's me getting off the soapbox on that. But Dogma, he got it in exhibiting it, and now it's eventually going to get a 4K re-release. But for years and years, like I said, the Blu-ray was out of print because the Lionsgate didn't have the license anymore and all this kind of stuff. So those Blu-rays would go on eBay for lots and lots of money when I used to see Dogma Blu-rays in bargain bins all the time for like under $10, and now it would go for like under 100 for over $100. But now those Blu-rays aren't worth anything. I actually have the Blu-ray. It's not worth anything anymore because we have brand new 4K editions that are coming out from Lionsgate and now from Umbrella. So let's get into all of the Umbrella goods, shall we? Like I said, there's a big old deluxe $150 US set that you can get where it comes with a t-shirt and books and all kinds of stuff. Or you can just get the movie by itself, or you can get a collector's edition. Anything you want, you can kind of get as I hit my microphone. Hopefully I didn't just disengage something in the settings. Who really knows about all these things? Let me actually check. So, nope, didn't disengage anything. I'm always afraid I'm going to knock a wire out or something. But let's talk about Dogma, shall we? This is the End is Nigh Dogma 4K and Blu-ray T-shirt collector's bundle. The whole enchilada here. This is the one. Only available from the Umbrella web store. It's exclusive to there. The End is Nigh, all that stuff that I just mentioned includes exclusive custom designed T-shirt by Hollow Bones, Snoogan's beanie, Catholicism Wow enamel pin collection, 100-page hardback book featuring new essays by various people, and of course, like picture behind the scenes pictures, all kinds of extra stuff. Custom designed Buddy Christ rigid case, custom illustration slipcase by Lucas Peveril, clear stained glass plastic slip over rigid case, 8 art cards featuring original Dogma art, A3 reversible poster, limited edition numbered release. From the irreverent mind of Kevin Smith comes Dogma, a film that takes divine comedy to a whole new level. A heavenly satire that takes aim at organized religion, cosmic red tape, and literally everything sacred, and packed with a devilishly talented cast, including Alan Rickman, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Salma Hayek, and Chris Rock. Of course, it's got Jay and Silent Bob in there as well. Blasphemous, bold, and bizarrely profound, Dogma is the comedy that asks, what if God had a sense of humor and a serious love of skee-ball? Heaven help us. I love this movie. I love many of Kevin Smith's works. I've seen Clerks so many times. I've recommended Clerks so many times to people. I've met Brian O'Halloran at a my local comic convention a few years ago. I had him sign my Blu-ray cover of Clerks. Actually, all of them are going to be at my local comic book convention next month. By all of them, I'm talking about Kevin Smith, Jay Muse, Brian O'Halloran. I think Randall is going to be there. The actor who plays Randall, I can't. Jeff Anderson. I think so many people are going to be there. Yeah, I'm trying to remember who else is going to be there, but so many people. Like Jason Lee is going to be there. So they're going to have a little Mallrats reunion and whatnot. So it's going to be crazy. But this movie here is a movie that I've always really, really liked. And let me see what we got here for extras. So exclusive custom design t-shirt, like I said, we got all that extra stuff. Let's see. Special features. This is what I wanted to look at. So there's an audio commentary with writer-director Kevin Smith, producer Scott Mosier, and VOSQ historian Vincent Pereira. Audio commentary with critic Whitney Seibold. New scenes from the apocalypse on the set of Dogma. New unreleased 2006 PSP introduction by Kevin Smith. New 25th anniversary screening Q&A with Kevin Smith. New 2025 interview with writer-director Kevin Smith. New 2025 interview with actor Jason Mewes. New 2025 interview with makeup and effects designer Vincent Gostini. New Dave Lee on the VOSQ universe after Dogma. New over 60 minutes of Dogma original silent Dallas footage presented with the Dogma original score. New Judge Not in the Defense of Dogma documentary. Deleted scenes with introduction by Kevin Smith. Original cast and crew interviews with Kevin Smith, Linda Fiorentino, Ben Affleck, and Salma Hayek. Jane Silent Bob, Secret Stash, Spot Store promo. My Opinion by Mrs. Harriet Wise. Original and 25th anniversary trailers and outtakes. So a loaded special features package that I think this movie rightfully deserves. So, yeah, this is a long time coming. This is awesome. I know I know my friend Steven, of course, the producer here on Chasing Labels, has already pre-ordered this, so he'll be getting his T-shirt and swag and all that extra stuff when this comes out. Let me see if this has a release date on it. I want to say December. I should probably look. Oh yeah, available December 10th, 2025. Okay, that's when it's coming out. Like I said, you can buy this whole big deluxe edition, or you can just buy the movie itself, or you can buy just a regular collector's edition that has a couple of a couple of has a little bit less than this. Like you don't get the beanie, you don't get the T-shirt, and you don't. And I think that's about it actually. I'm just doing a little side by side comparison. Yeah, you don't get the beanie, you don't get the T-shirt, but you get everything else, and it's like half the price. It's a very expensive beanie and T-shirt, and there's other like Dogma stuff that you can buy from Umbrella as well. Like they've got T-shirts, they've got candles, they've got a pin set, I think. Yeah. Anywho, so I wanted to make sure to mention all of that because it's something that's very near and dear to me. So let's see. Let me go back and look at my notes to see where we are with all of this. So we've talked Warner Archive, we talked Imprint, we've talked Radiance, we've talked Second Sight. Let's see. We've talked about Umbrella's release of Kino. I think we've got to talk about a couple of other things here, and then we can get to the Vinegar Syndrome stuff. So let's go to Kino. Let me go over to Kino's Facebook page because there's only about 3 or 4 Kino releases from the last 2 weeks. Not a lot going over there, which is fine. I mean, they already put out so much. Actually, this gives me a chance to talk about 2 different things, so this helps. So they are putting out looks like, let's see, coming soon on 4K UHD, and this is Kino, is brand new HDR Dolby Vision master of the War Wagon from 1967. This is the movie starring John Wayne and Kirk Douglas, and this is a movie about a train heist, essentially. So what happens is John Wayne was not falsely imprisoned. He was backstabbed by somebody who then stole his money, stole his land, stole his house, and then had him locked up in prison for 3 years. So, and he's now out of prison, and he wants to get revenge on this guy by stealing a wagon train of $500,000 worth of gold dust. And he puts together a team to do so. And part of his team is Kirk Douglas, who is like a gunslinger and a safecracker, and he needs him. And he's like an old buddy of his. So he gets him, and he gets a couple of other people who have certain specialties. He makes a deal with a little local indigenous tribe to help out as well. And he's gonna go after this guy. And yeah, that's the movie. It's fun. It's a fun movie. You get a nice little back and forth, little buddy comedy antagonistic vibe between Kirk Douglas and John Wayne. I mean, there's a small little not cameo at this point, but Bruce Dern pops up at one point in a small role before he became, really a well-known actor and was getting steady roles. It's directed by Burt Kennedy, who directed Support Your Local Sheriff with Support Your Local Sheriff. He also directed The Train Robbers as well. I think the music is done by Dmitry Tiomkin, who did High Noon and Rio Bravo. So it's a kind of a classic 1960s Western with John Wayne and Kirk Douglas. I don't mind it at all. It's fine. It's perfectly fine fun. And it's a little late because by that point, spaghetti westerns had become a thing. The Man with No Name trilogy was in its motions, and of course you would get the Wild Bunch in 1969. So it's a little bit of a throwback western at a time where those westerns were kind of going out of style, I would say. But another movie that's coming out on December 2nd is a movie called Hanna K from 1983. Now, this is a fascinating movie that is appropriate for the times in which we are living. Legendary filmmaker Costa Gavras, who directed Z and a bunch of other stuff. Several of his movies are in the Criterion Collection. Directed screen grade Jill Clayburgh to an emotionally charged performance in this controversial film about a woman attempting to assert her identity in the strife torn land of Israel. Like I said, something that's straight out of today's headlines. Clayburgh stars as Israeli attorney Hanna Kaufman, who has her beliefs challenged when she is appointed to the defense of Salim Bakri. Born in the United States to survivors of the Holocaust, Kaufman has always accepted Israel's right to exist, but she bears witness to some of the costs of its sovereignty when she meets Bakri, a dispossessed Palestinian man facing serious criminal charges who wants the same thing as his supposed enemies, to reclaim his family home. This powerful political drama also stars Jean Yan, Gabriel Byrne, and David Clennon. So obviously, this movie is from 1983. Yet, of course, you can already tell a lot of the political themes and plot of this movie is can be taken right from today, because the conflict in the Middle East centered around Israel and Palestine is ongoing. Is ongoing. So I find it fascinating when a movie from goodness, what, 42 years ago is still relevant today, especially when it comes to politics and whatnot. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I can't comment on how good it is or how it handles all of those elements. All I can say is that that's what the movie is about. Next, we've got kind of an official release and details of the movie Dead of Night, which I talked about seemingly forever ago at this point. This is coming out December 9th. A two-disc edition, 4K UHD, has an audio commentary by novelist and critic Tim Lucas. Disc 2, same commentary, plus a featurette, no, a documentary, Remembering Dead of Night documentary that runs 75 minutes long. That's a heck of a documentary. So, yeah, I talked about this movie when it came out. So, a group of strangers mysteriously gather at a country estate, recount chilling tales of the supernatural. So, and then yeah, they actually invite an architect over to do like some surveying and stuff like that, and they all start telling him different individual horror stories. And there's a reason why that's happening, and I won't get into all of that mystery about it, but that's that. Next we've got a let's see. Coming in 2026 on 4K UHD, brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master is Jesus Christ Superstar from 1973, starring Ted Neely, Carl Anderson, Yvonne Elman, Barry Denman, and Josh Mostel. Let's see. Shot by Douglas Slocum, music by Andrew Lloyd Webber, lyrics by Tim Rice, co-produced by Robert Stigwood, co-produced, co-written, and directed by Norman Jewison, who of course did In the Heat of the Night, The Thomas Crown Affair, Fiddler on the Roof, Rollerball, and Justice for All. He also did A Soldier Story, Moonstruck, and The Hurricane. They nailed all of his highlights of his career. He was a heck of a director, Norman Jewison. But I've never seen Jesus Christ Superstar from 1973. I'm assuming this is the adaptation of the stage musical. That's my assumption on that. And then next we have where I can actually do a twofer here, because both Kino is releasing this movie in a specific edition, and Studio Canal is releasing the same movie in an edition as well. And that is of the Hammer film Scars of Dracula, starring Christopher Lee. So this is the movie from 1970. And like I said, December 9th is the Kino release that I'm going to discuss here. And then I think November 24th is the Studio Canal release. They're both 4Ks, but there is a difference in special features. So let's go over the special features for the Kino release first. So new audio commentary by novelist and critic Tim Lucas, audio commentary by director Roy Ward Baker, actor Christopher Lee, and Hammer Films historian Marcus Hearn. Then on the Blu-ray is the same audio commentaries. And this is coming from a brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative. Let's see. Like I said, on the Blu-ray disc, brand new master, same commentaries, and then Blood Rights, Inside Scars of Dracula documentary, and then theatrical trailer, and that is it. So the Studio Canal release does not have the new audio commentary by novelist and critic Tim Lucas. but it does have the audio commentary by director Roy Baker, Christopher Lee, and the Hammer Films expert. But let me go over to actually get the because there are special features on the Hammer release, the Studio Canal release, that the Kino release does not have. That's what I wanted to touch on. Yes. So, what the Studio Canal release has is it has Fangs Out, Dracula Desire and Disruption, Clarice Loffrey and Izora Barbe Brown in Conversation, Legacy of the Vampire, an interview with Dacre Stoker, and those two are only on the Studio Canal release. It does have, it also has Hammer's Bite, Chris Matthews on Scars of Dracula, and like I said, that same audio commentary. But it does also have Blood Rights Inside Scars of Dracula that's on the Kino release as well. So, and it also has a 64-page book too. So the Studio Canal release does have more, but it is missing the exclusive commentary with the Kino release. That's the two differences. Okay, there's my two for that. All right. If you're a fan of Christopher Lee, of course, you want to get it. If you're trying to get all the Dracula Christopher Lee movies, like I have been trying to, you want to get it as well. There was a Blu-ray release put out by Shout Factory that I think is now out of print from a couple of years ago as well. If you have that already, maybe you're all set. You don't want to upgrade. I understand entirely. So plenty of options going around. I even have a massive headache from looking at a screen for so long. But we shall soldier on, as they say. So that is it for Kino. That is it for Kino. Like I said, not much going on over at Kino. Only what, like 3 or 4 things going, and one of them has, another release from Studio Canal as well. So let me see what we have here for some other things before we get to Vinegar Syndrome. So, Horror of Frankenstein. Okay, so Horror of Frankenstein is getting a Studio Canal release as well. And Horror of Frankenstein also has a Blu-ray release from Shout Factory too. So let's go over to the Horror of Frankenstein 4K edition. So collector's edition. Let me see if I got some. Yeah, let me get some special features here. 2-disc edition, new 4K restoration of the film, new It's Alive, revisiting the horror of Frankenstein with Clarice Loffrey and Isora Barbe Brown. Gallows humor inside the horror of Frankenstein, commentary with author Marcus Hearn and director Jimmy Sangster. Frankenstein, Dracula, and Me, a conversation with Veronica Carlson. Hammer's Monster, an interview with David Prowse. Oh, wow. Wow, that's kind of incredible. People, so David Prowse did a lot of that, like Frankenstein work. Of course, David Prowse was Darth Vader. He was in the Darth Vader suit. So obviously James Earl Jones did the voice, but David Prowse did all the movement and mannerisms and all that kind of stuff. There's a 64-page perfect bound book with new essays and original press kit with this as well. So there you go. Let's see, let me go back to my notes, which are kind of jumbled up a little bit. Let's see. Okay. So Severin is putting out, see if I can find this actually. I don't even know where I came across this. All right, so I have it on my list here, but I don't even think it's. Yeah, so Severin Films. So Severin is putting out a 4K release of the movie The Wild Geese, coming out December 8th, and I think it's only in the UK. Yeah, let me read this actually. So, Severin Films UK is preparing 4K Blu-ray releases, collectors and standard editions of Andrew V. McLaglen's classic film, The Wild Geese, starring Richard Burton, Roger Moore, Richard Harris, Harry Kruger, and Stuart Granger. The 2 releases are scheduled to arrive on the market on December 8th. Okay. Okay, so screen legends Richard Burton, Roger Moore, and Richard Harris star as a team of aging mercenaries hired by a wealthy industrialist for one final mission: recruit and train a squad of desperate commandos, parachute into an unstable African nation, snatch its deposed president from a maximum security prison, escape via the military controlled airport, and massacre anyone who gets in their way. Oh, sounds easy, I guess. so, this is a three disc edition. Well, the third disc is a CD. So, the disc one is the 4K Blu-ray, which has a 4K restoration from the original camera negative, HDR presentation of the film. There's two audio commentaries. One is the audio commentary with action film experts Mike Leader and Arn Venema, audio commentary with assembly editor John Grover, and film academic and South African historian Callum Waddell. Archival audio commentary with producer Yuan Lloyd, star Roger Moore, second unit director John Glenn, moderated by filmmaker Jonathan Southcott. So there's three audio commentaries actually. Good God. All right. So disc two has a new 4K restoration from the original camera negative. It's got, oh boy, Jesse Take Point interview with actor John Canny, Wild Child, an interview with actor Paul Spurrier, Wild Goose Chase, an interview with second unit director editor John Glenn, Flight of Fancy, an interview with sound editor Colin Miller, the Wild Geese director interview with director Andrew V. McLaglen, the Mercenary interview with military advisor Mike Hoare, the Last of the Gentlemen producers documentary on producer Ewan Lloyd featuring Ewan Lloyd, Roger Moore, John Armour Trading, Ingrid Pitt, and more. The Flight of the Wild Geese vintage featurette, the Wild Geese Royal Charity premiere newsreel, and then optional English subtitles for the main feature. And then the third disc is the original soundtrack by Boy Rudd CD, an exclusive 316-page book by Tony Earnshaw, and then six UK lobby card reproductions. Wow. Wow. So this is very much the definitive version of the Wild Geese. So if you are a fan of this movie, this is the edition to get. What is interesting is I'm going to go over to the Severin website right now, and this is not available on there because I didn't know it was a UK release until this moment. And the reason why I'm also going over to the Severin website is I quickly want to mention this. I don't know anything about this. All I know is that it's coming out from Severin. I don't know any context of who the filmmakers are or the films themselves, but there is a massive box set coming out from Severin, as they're prone to do, called Exorcismo: Defying a Dictator and Raising Hell in Post-Franco Spain. This is a 10-disc Blu-ray box set plus a book, and I think this is like a 19-film box set. Let me just read this here. Holy goodness. So, let's see. It's 19 feature films on 10 discs, including the award-winning documentary Exorcismo, the Transgressive Legacy of Classificata S, plus a 168-page book and 21 plus combined hours of special features. So I'm going to read a little bit of this gigantic paragraph, not the whole thing, just to give people a sense of what is in this box set from Severin Films. Under the Franco dictatorship, Spain's rigid censorship laws controlled all national entertainment. But following Franco's death in 1975, certain films began to embody a period in Spanish history when cinematic expression became political freedom. Spanish audiences considered these films, featuring graphic explorations of sex, violence, and horror, to be a cultural exorcist. You can understand. These 18 films, including landmark features by Eloy de la Iglesia, Leon Klimovsky, Javier Aguirre, and Eugenio Martin, range from those that dared to actively subvert the oppressive regime through the post-Franco era of 70s and 80s exploitative excess. Also included is the award-winning Severin Films original documentary, Exorcismo, the Transgressive Legacy of Classificata X, narrated by Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop, amen. So this is a massive box set. And yeah, it's got, like I said, 10 discs, 19 films, including a documentary. I'm tempted to list off all the movies, but I will pass out. I have so much more to go all over here. So just want to go to Severin's website, and look at this massive box set that they've got coming out. Okay. And yeah, this is something I'm actually rather interested in because I'm a big fan of movie history. I'm a big fan of international film history. I'm a big fan of, movies being a reflection of the times in which they are made, specifically the political times in which they are made, the social times in which they are made. And these movies seem like they are very much part of that post Franco Spain, freedom of this exorcism of expression, if you will. So I'm curious about that, very curious. And Severin does really good box sets, really good box sets. So that is it from Severin. I've got two Full Moon Features releases, one Shout Factory release to talk about, Film Treasures release, and two MVDs. So let's me go to the MVDs are going to be easy. Actually, I'll just mention it now. Two Jean-Claude Van Damme films are getting MVD releases, Lionheart and Knockoff. Lionheart, I thought was actually rather good and fun. Knockoff, not so much. That's all I'll say about those. The Medium is a movie being put out by our friends over at Film Treasures in the UK. I thought I would give them a nice shout out. Let me see. Let me go actually go over their website, see if I can get some details on this because they were nice enough to um excuse me. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on. Let me go over to the pre-orders. That's what I want to look at. Actually, they've got a lot more stuff on here than I thought. Hold on. I've got to go to their main page and see if I can find what's it called. I thought this would be a lot easier. It is not. What's it called? Yeah, the Medium. Yeah, this is not. This is coming out November 30th. Let's see. Following the death of his wife, an American music composer moves to an old mansion in Rome with his young son. They are soon haunted by a series of inexplicable events, causing them to hire a medium to divine the true nature of their seemingly cursed existence. Yeah, let's see. Yep, that's the medium. See what we have here for special features. So, double wall slipcase with brand new artwork, illustrated collector's booklet featuring writing by Eugenio Ercolani and Alex Bakshiv. There's a web store exclusive mirror magnet and the web store exclusive poster, reversible, which is a reversible fold out poster. Let's see, restored from the OCN original camera negative in HD, uncompressed English DTS 2.0 audio. Let's see, audio commentary with Jonathan Rigby and Kevin Lyons. Among the Spirits interview with co-star Sherry Buchanan. Chosen by the Dead interview with writer Claudio Fragasso. A Sinister interview with co-star Martine Brochard. Video essay on Silvio Armadillo. And it says and to medium by Eugenio Ercolani. Okay. Or I think it's Il Medium, so The Medium by Eugenio Ercolani. Songs in the Key of Death, a look at the composers and horror video essay by writer and historian Daryl Buxton. Image gallery reversible sleeve featuring two artwork choices. Okay, so that is The Medium. I've never seen it being put up on Film Treasures in a limited edition release. So let's see. Oh yeah, Full Moon Features. Okay, so they've got two releases. Last Foxtrot in Burbank, which is a awful movie. So you know what? I'm not even. Let's see. I don't want to give this movie my time. So, but let me talk about it anyway. So, the Last Foxtrot in. Okay, this. Whatever. So, I don't know why that's like that. Hold on, let me go back for a second. I'm all over the place. Ba-ba-ba-bum. So, Last Foxtrot in Burbank is from 1973. It's a Charles Band film, and this movie is terrible. So, this is a satire parody film that's about 55 minutes to an hour long, uh, of the Last Tango in Paris, and it's really bad. It's so bad to the point where Charles Band and the editor of the movie, who's John Carpenter, both basically disown the movie. They're both are like, yeah, it's terrible. We admit it's terrible. Don't watch it. I think there's a special feature somewhere of Charles Band apologizing in like a 5 minute long video about how bad the movie is, and the movie's really bad. Like, this is probably one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time, because it's not even a movie. It's like just like they just take certain scenes from Last Tango in Paris and just spoof them, and just spoof them like badly at times. Sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's just over the top misogynistic garbage. Most of the times it is also like homophobic garbage. It's really just bad. It's so bad. Like the guy he's just doing it a really bad imitation of Marlon Brando in the movie, and it's just the same impression over and over again. And yeah, so it's not good. Charles Band, of course, went on to do movies like Trancers, which I actually really like. He also did the movie The Dungeon Master, which I also have, I think. And yeah, he did other like, you know, like Puppet Master Legacy and like Doll Man vs. Demonic Toys and things like that. So but yeah, it's awful. To be honest, it's awful. It was also considered a lost film, actually. I find that more fascinating than the actual movie. The actual movie's terrible, but I find it more fascinating that this was considered a lost film that was happened to be found in an archive, I think, at the University of California, and was resurrected by Full Moon Features as like part of like a long like come and see the long lost movie of Charles Band. It was his first movie he made when he was 22 years old and kind of didn't know what he was doing, and it shows. And like I said, it's edited by John Carpenter, which I think is its most positive aspect of it. I think, like I said, John Carpenter disowns the movie as well. But yeah, it's not good. But Full Moon Features is also doing a actually a film noir. It's Full Moon Features noir double feature set. Let me see if I can even find details on it. Let's see. It's not even on. Where am I gonna even find this? Oh, let me go to a Full Moon Features website. I don't even know where I found this. Let's see. Full Moon Features. Full Moon Features website. See if I can find their stuff. I've actually never been to their website, so I don't know where to look for anything on here. Let's see if I go to box sets. Yeah, I don't even think they have it on their they don't even have it on their website yet. Maybe if I go to their Facebook page? I honestly don't even remember where I came across this. I apologize to everybody. When you get like 3 hours into a Chasing Labels episode, you begin to lose your sense of Anywho, they're coming out with I'm just gonna just in the interest of time. Actually, okay, I was gonna read off the movies, but I don't even remember the movies in it. Cause Oh, found it, finally, yeah. Alright, found it. So Coming on January 20th on Blu-ray in the US from Full Moon Features, featuring Head of the Family and Hideous. Experience the thrills and chills of your favorite classic Full Moon Features, now reimagined, all airy and monochrome. Head of the Family, get ready to see the Stackpool family like you've never seen them before in terrifying monochromatic black and white. Howard is the meanest, nastiest thug in town, a Harley-riding criminal with a hot wife, Loretta. Loretta's problem is she's having an affair with Lance, owner of the town diner, and Howard's getting suspicious. Driving back home from one of their nightly flings, Lance witnesses the local family of weirdos dragging a man from his truck and enter their house. Seeing this as an opportunity, Lance discovers the Stackpool's terrible secret. Nothing you see will prepare you for the lunacy of Head of the Family noir. Then you have Hideous, from the mind of Charles Band. These are both directed by Charles Band. Comes this spastic, sexy mad science and monster mash masterpiece, now recut as a slivery and shuddery black and white film noir. So they just took these movies and noirified them. Dr. Lorca, an eccentric collector of biological oddities, has just acquired his greatest specimen, a horrible mutant born of toxic sewage. But the creature's rightful owner wants it back. Now the collector's clash is cut short as the FBI joins the fight and the sickening specimen comes to life. Reanimating an angry, oozing little army of ferocious freaks, buckle in for this orgy of skin and scares, noir style. New intros by Charles Band, noir trailers. There's a pre-order for this up. I don't know a lot about Full Moon Features. They do a lot of horror stuff. I should say that. And this here, it sounds like them experimenting with a kind of newish release, a newish style release, just making the movies more noirish by making them black and white. but I just thought I would mention that. So now let's go. Oh, one more. So the movie. Where are you? The movie Perfect Blue is getting a 4K UHD release from Shout Factory. Yeah, Perfect Blue is getting a collector's edition release. I think it's getting both a standard and a steelbook. If not, it should be. I think it's just getting. Let's see. It says G-Kids has dated its upcoming 4K Blu-ray release of the Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue. The release, which will be a 3-disc set, is scheduled to arrive on the market on December 23rd. Okay. Now, Perfect Blue is one of the best anime films of all time, in my opinion. It's an astonishing anime film by one of the great masters of anime in Satoshi Kon. Highly recommend people seeing it. It's really, really good. It's incredibly adult, incredibly timeless. There's a lot going on in it. I don't have a lot of time here to get into it because I have a whole bunch of other things to talk about, but it's really, really good. I have the old Blu-ray release from Shout Factory as well. So I definitely do highly recommend Perfect Blue. Let me go over to Shout's website to see if there's even a... Let's see. I don't know why Blu-ray.com does this. Yeah, there's the collector's edition. Oh, not cheap. Not cheap. Holy heck. So, I don't know why Blu-ray.com does this nonsense all the time. They'll announce Shout Factory, Scream Factory, Shout Select, their G-Kids stuff. They'll announce all of it, but they won't give us any special feature breakdowns or details or anything like that. I have to go over to their website. I mean, what's the point? What's the point? Blu-ray.com, you should be giving me all the information I need. So, this collector's edition that's coming out is rather expensive, but it is rather deluxe. It's got 2 discs. It has a 4K UHD disc, which has promotional video edited by Satoshi Kon, Rex logo trailer, Madhouse trailer, G-Kids trailer. Oh, it's just a bunch of trailers. But the second disc is the Blu-ray disc, where it's got Angel of Your Heart recording session, Angel of Your Heart English version, interview with Satoshi Kon, interview with Junko Iwao, interview with Ruby Marlowe, interview with Wendy Lee, interview with Rob Marks, 3 Satoshi Kon lectures, original definition feature. I don't know why you would want that, but whatever. But yeah, it also looks like it comes with a bunch of let's see, it's got a 132-page book. It's got 10 art cards. It comes with a 40 by 30 inch poster. So that's a That's a full one sheet. That's a full one sheet poster. Yeah, so it's got a bunch of extra swag with it as well. It is like an $80 collector's edition, at least on the Shout Factory website for Perfect Blue. And yeah, it's coming out December 23rd, right in time for the holiday, actually. Right in time for the holiday. Right on, right on. Okay, now we can get into something I should have talked about weeks ago, but the previous episode or spine number for chasing labels number 174 was a couple of days before these were announced. So I am playing a little bit of catch up. I'm pretty sure many of you have either pre-ordered these, have got all the details on these already from other people, but I figure we'll do our due diligence here on chasing labels, and we will talk about the Vinegar Syndrome and partner label announcements from October 1st. So let's get into all of that now. So the proper ones, the ones that were announced from Vinegar Syndrome, we have a 4K release of the Tromeo and Juliet film, which is um, the Troma film. We've got a 4K UHD release of Ruby. We got a 4K UHD release of The Man Who Could Cheat Death. We have the 4K UHD release of a Dario Argento film from 2001 called Sleepless. We've got a Blu-ray release of Men from the Gutter, and we have a 4K UHD release from Cinematograph of King of the Gypsies. This is an early movie starring, um, what's his name? Eric Roberts. Yeah, Eric Roberts. We've talked about this movie already. This movie has already gotten a release, actually, from before, and we talked about this movie. Let's see, King of, I think it was, okay, that's not that. Let's see, oh, Imprint. Yeah, it was Imprint number 288 back in December of 2023 it came out. So, we're going back probably about 2 years ago this was announced. So, holy heck, that's a long time. That's a long time. I talked about this 2 years ago here on Chasing Labels. Early film from Eric Roberts. To be honest, let me start with that one actually, because that is the last on this list here, and it's probably the best movie of all of these. So let's dive in to see what we've got here in terms of special features and all that kind of stuff. So what happens is, let's see. Okay, so I'm reading the synopsis here, and I'm like, this doesn't sound familiar at all. But no, it's starting to make sense now. So so Eric Roberts plays. Let me go. Actually, let me go to Letterboxd and get a better, because this is this the synopsis they have on Vinegar Syndrome's website is way too involved. Way too many things going on here, explaining way too many things. There's got to be way more concise way in which to put this together. If my mind was working a little bit better, perhaps I could do it myself, but no. I guess this is so. Zarko, leader of the Romanis in New York City, passes his position of leadership onto his unwilling grandson Dave, leading to infighting between Dave and his father. So, what you've got here, if I do recall, keep in mind it's been 2 years since I've seen this movie, is you've got obviously Dave is the Eric Roberts character, and he is a very much he's given the role of the leader of this family, and he doesn't want to do it. So he's torn between his duty to his family and duty to tradition, and also he wants to kind of, you know, bring his family into the more modern sense of the world. And of course, when it comes to, you know, older families adhering to tradition and adhering to the old ways of things, they don't really want that to happen. So there's a lot of like infighting within the family, all kinds of other kind of drama outside of the family too that he's got to deal with, and he also kind of doesn't want to have all of that responsibility either. So there's a lot of things going on in this movie. I know I'm explaining it terribly because yet again, it's been 2 years since I've seen this movie, so it's been a while. Let me go back to hold on. There we go. Um, Written for the screen and directed by Academy Award-winning screenwriter Frank Pearson, King of the Gypsies is adapted from the novel of the same name, written by Peter Moss, featuring stunning on-location photography by noted Swedish cinematographer and Ingmar Bergman collaborator Sven Nykvist, as well as an incredible ensemble cast, including the screen debut of Eric Roberts. Yes, that's true. Um, it is the screen debut of Eric Roberts. And this is a late 1970s film from 1978, when I always liked 1970s movies. Um, yeah, I explained the movie terribly. Just trust me on this. It's a really good film. It's a really, really good film. Um, yeah. Okay. So I was just reading a little extra synopsis there. I think yeah. So Eric Roberts gets the responsibility of being the leader of his family from his grandfather who passes away, skipping over his father, which of course creates even more drama, and because his father's kind of a screw up and like the black sheep of the family, and yeah, and it sparks all kinds of problems. So special features. There we go. 2 disc set, 4K Ultra HD, and Region A Blu-ray. New audio commentary with film historian Adrian Martin, our friend here over at Chasing Labels. Keep surprising me, a new video interview with actor Eric Roberts. Prison of Roots, Sven Nykvist arrives in America. A new video essay by film historian Daniel Kramer. The Writer Speaks, Frank Pearson, a 2-hour-long archival interview with writer-director Frank Pearson, recorded by the Writers Guild Foundation in 2001, archival interview with editor Paul Hirsch. Trailers from Hell, Michael Schlesinger on the King of the Gypsies, and then new essays, text essays by various film critics. And then that's it. That's it. You also there was an edition that came with a book, but I think that edition was only limited to 100 copies, and that's long gone. But there is the edition that's currently available. Actually, there's only 43 copies left. Comes with This is Cinematograph, a journal of American cinema. So if you want this now, I would definitely recommend buying it. Or you could probably find it when it reaches the retailers. But that's interesting how it's already got under 100 copies left, and they print a few. They print about 4,000 of these. They make 4,000 of these. But anywho, that is The King of the Gypsy, the cinematograph release. I did not get to see Men from the Gutter, and I did not get to see Sleepless, which is a Dario Argento film from 2001. I do want to make people aware that there's another Dario Argento film getting a 4K release to go along with the various other ones. You know, we've got Tenebrae, we've got Suspiria, Phenomena, um, uh, Bird with Crystal Plumage. Oh, I can't remember the other ones. I'm looking right at it, but it's got the Italian it's got the Italian title, and I can't translate it to English off the top of my head. A Cat of Nine Tails, etc. You know Dario Argento. I don't have to explain this to you guys. But Sleepless. It's got a ton of special features. But in the interest of time, I won't go over it. Just it stars Max von Sydow. That's probably important to know. Tons of special features, 2 disc edition for Sleepless. But since I didn't watch the movie, I don't have much to say about it. Tromeo and Juliet. I never thought I'd live to see the day where Tromeo and Juliet would get a 4K UHD release. This is, of course, the Troma film. Um, Yeah, and this is first of director Lloyd Kaufman's official adaptations of William Shakespeare. Tromeo and Juliet is a wild punk reimagining of the bard's eternal doomed romance, only with nonstop gore, nudity, and giant mutant genitals, set amongst the denizens and outcasts of squalid New Jersey, standing in for a modern vision of Verona. And featuring a screenplay co-written by soon-to-be major director in his own right, James Gunn. That's right, we know James Gunn. He got his start at Troma, which I mentioned before. And of course, he directed Guardians of the Galaxy, Slither, and of course, he directed the new Superman movie, which I have right here as well. So you can see James Gunn's origin story in co-writing the screenplay for Romeo and Juliet. As someone who knows the story of Romeo and Juliet rather well, because there's various adaptations and there's various homages to it throughout movies and TV shows and pop culture and all this kind of referential stuff and whatnot. This adaptation is actually pretty on it until the third act. So the third act kind of goes off into its own area of craziness and whatnot. But the first two acts of this movie, they go along with the story of Romeo and Juliet in its own trauma way. In its own trauma way. Of course, trauma is super low budget. I would dare say C level movies, if you will. I don't think they're B movies. I think they are C movies. And yeah, it is what it is. You know what I mean? If you don't know what trauma is, you're in for a wild ride. You're in for a wild ride. If you do know what trauma is, this is the deluxe of deluxe editions of a trauma release. I would say that. I talked about trauma last time with the Toxic Avenger box set that's coming out from Umbrella. That's what it was. It was Umbrella's. That's why I talked about trauma last time. So, um, yeah, this is getting a I can't go over all of these special features. I'm just gonna highlight a few of them on here. There's one, two, three, four commentary tracks. Four commentary tracks. The movie is getting a 4K UHD presentation in Dolby Vision high dynamic range, newly scanned and restored in 4K from its original 35 millimeter camera negative. Tons of special features, new stuff too. Like I think all new stuff. Yeah, brand new featurettes left and right. I think archival featurettes here as well. There's DVD and Laserdisc introductions too of the movie. When did this movie come out? 1996. That would make sense for the Laserdiscs and DVDs. Um, yeah, so much going on in this movie. So much going on with these special features as well. 40-page perfect bound book as well. But yeah, this movie's nuts. This movie's nuts. Deluxe edition, to say the least, for Tromeo and Juliet. Now, I also watched the movie Ruby as well. So, what is this movie about? Oh, okay, here we go. So, a commercial high point in the career of prolific director and devout genre fan Curtis Harrington, who directed Night Tide. Yes, Night Tide is really, really good. 1977's Ruby sought to capitalize on the then popular trend of possession movies, which came in the wake of The Exorcist while amping up old Hollywood nostalgia and unexpected gore amongst plentiful scenes of supernatural mayhem. Starring Piper Laurie in a titular role, fresh from her Academy Award nominated turn in Carrie, alongside Stuart Whitman and Roger Davis. Ruby at long last arrives in its UHD world premiere, courtesy of the Drive-In Deviants at Vinegar Syndrome, restored in 4K from its 35 millimeter interpositive and loaded with a wealth of new and archival bonus features. So, in 1930s Florida, oh, this idea. Now I know the movie. In 1930s Florida, mobster Nicky Rocco is gunned down by his own gang in front of his mistress, Ruby Claire, who turns out to be carrying his child almost 2 decades later. Ruby, once a songstress with dreams of stardom, is living out a quiet existence with her daughter Leslie, now a mute 16-year-old, in a large house adjoining a drive-in in which she runs alongside Nikki's old gang members. When one by one the former mobsters start winding up dead in various bizarre and gruesome ways, a parapsychologist, Dr. Paul Keller, arrives on the scene to investigate. Here you go. Um, no big surprise here. The ghost of her ex lover, boyfriend guy is seeking revenge. That's all you need to know. Okay, so 2-disc special edition, 4K presentation in Dolby Vision, newly scanned and restored in 4K. brand new commentary track with journalist and film historian David Del Val and filmmaker David Dakota, archival commentary track with director Curtis Harrington and actress Piper Laurie, archival commentary track with David Del Val and film historian Nathaniel Bell, Keeping It Natural, a new interview with actor Roger Davis, a cinematic summoning, a 23-minute new interview with critic and author Kim Newman, alternate TV version of Ruby sourced from video that runs 95 minutes long. Okay. 2001 video interview with director Curtis Harrington, conducted by journalist and film historian David Del Val, that runs 59 minutes long. Wow. 2 Sinister Image episodes with Curtis Harrington, hosted by David Del Val, 57 minutes long. Theatrical trailer, radio spot, reversible sleeve artwork. Yeah. This movie's okay. It's kind of, like I said, I don't know why they compared it to The Exorcist. I guess there's a little bit of possession in the movie, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of, it's not great. It's not a great movie, but let's move on to The Man Who Could Cheat Death. Let's see. Oh yeah. So, in late 19th century Paris, esteemed surgeon and talented sculptor Dr. George Bonnet is hiding an extraordinary secret. Many years ago, he discovered the key to eternal life. Despite being 104 years old, he has the appearance of a man in his 30s. However, his secret feat comes at a terrible cost. For every 10 years, Bonnet must undergo a surgery which requires the parathyroid gland of a living victim. When it becomes clear that his old friend and collaborator, Professor Ludwig Weiss, is no longer capable of conducting the surgery as he had previously done, Bonnet kidnaps his old flame Janine Dubois in an attempt to coerce her new love interest, Dr. Pierre Gerard, into taking up the task. So we get here's a little bit of a picture of Dorian Gray, or a twist on the picture of Dorian Gray, where this guy has discovered the cure to old age, actually, and the key to eternal life. It just happens to be a rather gruesome thing that he has to do every 10 years or so, or else he starts rapidly aging and he will die. That's the movie. Let's see. I think this is a Hammer film. Yeah, it's a Hammer film from 1959. I think it's by director Terence Fisher, the man who I think is the main Hammer director is Terence Fisher. That's the guy. So we got some special features here: 2-disc set, 4K presentation in Dolby Vision, newly scanned and restored in 4K. Presented in, it's from its original 35mm camera negative, presented in 2 viewing options on both the 4K and the Blu-ray. The uncut pre-censorship clothed version and the alternate nude continental version. Oh boy. Brand new commentary track with critics and authors Stephen Jones and Kim Newman. A hideous concoction, film historian Jonathan Rigby on The Man Who Could Cheat Death. The Man Who Could Direct Death, film historian Vic Pratt on director Terence Fisher. Court in Session, film historian Melanie Williams on actress Hazel Court. The Man Who Can Cheat Death, an interview with uncredited and third assistant director Hugh Harlow. Alternate censorship ending, 40-page perfect bound book with essays by Adrian Smith, John Deere, and Kieran Foster. Reversible sleeve artwork as well. I like this movie. You know, I'm a sucker for Hammer horror. You know, I'm a sucker for the Hammer horror films, so I like this movie. It's got a little bit of an H.P. Lovecraftian vibe to it as well, with the whole, like, you know, revival of death and whatnot. Yeah, and it's from right in that, you know, early Hammer horror realm, because I think 1958 would be the Horror of Dracula, which kind of kicked things off a little bit. Yeah, that's The Man Who Could Cheat Death. Let's see. Let's see what else we've got here. Let me close some tabs. All right, let me move on to the partner labels. And then once we get through the partner labels, we will be done, I believe. Unless I missed some things over on the other side. By the other side, I mean the other labels. I don't think so, because I'm going over my notes and I think I've talked about everything, but sometimes it's hard to keep track of certain things. All right, so there are quite a few partner label releases. I got to watch quite a few of them myself, but let's see. Ba-ba-bum. Yeah, there were 26 partner label releases. I will, you know, I'll read them all off and I'll get into some of the ones that I got to watch that I think would be worth people's time. I think are interesting. So, from Cartoona, we have AJ Goes to the Dog Park. From Shudder, we have All the Moons. From Bleeding Skull, we have Backyard Bloodbaths. From IFC Films, we have Barbarian Sound Studio. From Cinephobia Releasing, we have Brute 1976. From Film Movement, we have Carmela. From Film Movement again, we have The Columnist. From Kim Stim, we have Creepy. From Decanola, we have The Demon's Rook. From IFC Films, we have Depraved. From Canny, we got Desert of Namibia. Let's see what else we have. We got from Wild Eye Releasing, we have The Disco Exorcist. From Saturn's Core, we have The Evil Maker. Let's see, no, it's not The Evil Maker. It is, yeah, it's The Evil Maker and Abomination, Evil Maker 2. From Umbrella Entertainment, we have Irresistible. From the horror section, we have Jimmy and Stiggs. From Icarus Films, we have Lady Chatterley's Lover, which is an adaptation of the book. Um, and then for Canny, we have the Meikuhama trilogy. From VHS Hitfest, we've got Marley's Revenge, the monster movie. From Shudder, once again, we have Moloch. From Utopia, we have Pet Shop Days. Let's see. From Film Movement, we have Row. From ETR Media, we got Skull World. From Brainstorm Media, we have Some Like It Rare. From Yellow Veil Pictures, we have Somnium. From AGFA, or American Genre Film Archive, we have True Crime Triple Feature. And then lastly here from Factory 25 is a documentary, Until the Light Takes Us. Alrighty then. We got quite a lot here. I think 26 may be the most ever when it comes to partner labels release announcements at one time, at least that I can remember. And I've been doing this, we've been doing Chasing Labels now for 4.5 years. I feel like 26 is the most we've ever gotten in 1 month announcement from OCN partner labels. But I got to watch quite a few of them. Like I said, I've gotten about, I had some time to get into a lot of these, and some are better than others, of course. But let's start with let's start right at the end here with this documentary from Factory 25. This is a documentary about let's see. It tells the story of black metal, but it's Norwegian black metal music from the 90s. Part music scene, part cultural uprising, black metal rose to worldwide notoriety in the mid 1990s when a rash of suicides, murders, and church burnings accompanied the explosive artistic growth and output of a music scene that would forever redefine what heavy metal is and what it stands for to other musicians, artists, and music fans worldwide. Until the Light Takes Us goes behind the highly sensationalized media reports of Satanists running amok in Europe to examine the complex and largely misunderstood principles and beliefs that led to this rebellion against both Christianity and modern culture. To capture this on film, directors Aaron Ates and Audrey Yule moved to Norway and lived with the musicians for several years, building relationships that allowed them to create a surprisingly intimate portrait of this violent but ultimately misunderstood movement. And that is really what the movie's about. It's not really a documentary that's informative about what black metal music is, or or like why it's different than other metal than classic metal or heavy metal or all of that. It's more so about the music's cultural impact, specifically in Norway in the 90s, and the public and political reaction to it, and also concentrating on this band in the movie. I can't remember the name of the band, but the infighting within the band and one of its band members murdering another band member and also committing a bunch of other crimes as well that led to this kind of perception of black metal being a Satanist movement, being like anti-religion and just evil and all this kind of stuff. And this movie kind of explores the misunderstood preconception notions of that. It's rather informative in that regard. But if you don't know anything about, you know, black metal or metal in general. This movie is not going to inform you about that. So that's one of the kind of negatives of it. It's very much inside baseball, but it's very engrossing about what it's actually about. Let's get into some special features. And this is available to stream, I think, on Tubi right now. So, black metal short film of deleted scenes, alternate ending, outtakes, the cutting room with musicians not in the film. So this includes a bunch of them actually. 46 more minutes of Varg Vikernes, history of black metal class with Fenris. Oh, that actually may be rather informant. that that maybe just be filling in the gaps of things that I just mentioned. Memory Box, a short film produced as proof of concept for the feature length film. All right, so it's a nice little package here for this. It's a nice little informative package from Factory 25. So this is called Until the Light Takes Us. I think I ran out of soda. Hold on. Good thing I brought some water down here with me. Yep, I ran out of soda. You'd be surprised how fast 12 ounces of soda could be drank in 3 hours. All right, let me move this over here and put that there. I don't like to have water next to my movies, but we don't have a choice at this moment, unless I'm gonna run out of voice here. There were some movies here that I really wanted to watch that I did not get a chance to, and that happens every single time. Whether it be timing, whether it just be energy, whether it just be motivation. Sometimes there are things here that you just don't get around to. Hopefully, you can get to them at some time. I'm trying to watch every single movie ever, but you can't do it sometimes. So, let me go over to the next movie I saw. I did not get to see the ACFA release. Somnium, I really wanted to watch from Yellow Veil because I like what Yellow Veil does. But I did get to see the Brainstorm Media film of Some Like It Rare. And this is an interesting movie. Very interesting. This is it's a French film. So, when a struggling butcher accidentally kills a vegan activist vandalizing his store, he uses his skills to dispose of the body to the delight of the clueless customers. Okay, that's a little loose description there. So what ends up happening is this guy and his wife run a butcher shop, and it's not doing very well financially. And his quote unquote friends are the competition, and they have this big butcher shop chain that does very very well. They're super rich, they're super annoying, they're super smug about it, and what happens is these activists, the animal rights activists and whatnot, they vandalize his shop. They attack him and his wife in the middle of the day in their shop. They have protest signs. They throw blood at them and all this kind of stuff. So what happens is they accidentally run over one of them just by happenstance, and they take the body and dispose of it, and they accidentally start selling it to people who are the customers. And the customers love it. They love it to the point where the demand becomes so high for it, they've got to procure more stuff to sell. You get what I'm saying here? So they start going down this road of having to procure more of this. And the way in which they do it is portrayed in incredibly dark comedic ways. We're talking like black humor, like them chasing people around and stuff, and they're kind of bumbling and they don't really know how to do it. They're kind of terrible at it because they don't know what they're doing. And it's told in a really darkly comedic way, in a very funny way, and you're not supposed to be laughing at this. This is horrible stuff. But also going down this path, they kind of, have to take really hard looks at themselves about what they're doing and how far they're willing to push this in order to become financially successful. So that's a big theme in the movie as well. I rather like the movie on a satirical level in that regard. It's not the movie for everyone. It's very gory. If you're an animal rights advocate, if you're a vegetarian, if you're a vegan who can't stand these types of things, this is not the movie for you, obviously. Um, but let's see. Let's say it came out in 2021. It only runs 87 minutes long. It's super short. It's in French. So if gotta read subtitles if that's worry to you. I understand, I guess. But it's Region A Blu-ray, behind the scenes featurette, booklet with new writing by film critic Cat Hughes, and that's it. That's it. So that is the movie Some Like It Rare. Next, we've got the movie Row by Film Movement, which I actually really like. Wow, this is already down to standard editions. Oh boy. I mean, granted, this was like 2 weeks ago. I can understand that. Okay. And I think they only put out 500 copies, so it's already got down to standard. This is an interesting movie. This is on Film Movement. So, uh, yeah, this is a very odd film, very artsy horror film, very atmospheric, very almost folklorish, if you will. Cut off from civilization, a single mother puts her children on a high alert when they bring home a young girl caked in clay. She tells of spirits and spirit hunters, but these are not mere superstitions. As more strangers show up to her doorstep, she quickly finds another reason to fear the forest. Malaysia's official submission to the 2021 Academy Awards. Directed by Amir Rizwan. Yeah, this is a Malaysian film. I don't see many Malaysian films, so this was new to me in terms of getting into this type of horror culture, if you will. Uh, yeah, very spooky. Like I said, spooky, slow burn, atmospheric, with a gutter punch of a finale. Um, so all it has here is a making of featurette. That is it. All right, that is the movie Row, ROH. Let's move right along here because we got a few more to go through. Um, I wanted to see Pet Shop Days from Utopia. I did not get to see it, but I did get to see Moloch because it is streaming on Shutter, and I do have the Shutter streaming service. I had it for years, and I kind of only use it when it comes to doing research for chasing labels. So it comes in handy. It comes in handy. I just don't use it enough to probably justify paying a monthly subscription fee for it, but that's the case. Called one of the best. Let's see. Betrick lives at the edge of a peat bog in the north of the Netherlands. When she and her family are attacked by a random stranger one night, Betrick sets out to find an explanation. The more she digs, the more she becomes convinced that she is being hunted by something ancient. Okay. Isolation, forest horror, ancient evils, past deeds that are coming back to haunt you, ghost spirits. This is folklore horror, folk horror. If you love the movies that are in the two folk horror box sets from Severin, this movie is very much in that vein. This movie would fit perfectly, actually, in one of those box sets because it's very much like that. Um, yeah, it's good. It's a Dutch film. Yet again, it's another country that I don't see a lot of their films from that often, just because they don't come my way. They don't cross my path. Let's see. There's an audio commentary with writer director Nico Vandenbrink, editor Xander Neeston, and director of photography Emo Wimhoff. Trail cam footage, deleted scene, visual effects video, and stills gallery by Rolf de Buige at RFX prop making, and then theatrical trailer booklet with new writing by film critics Simon Abrams and Becky Dark. Yet again, if you have the Shutter streaming service, you can watch this movie called Moloch. It's a Dutch folk horror film. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, I did see one of the movies in the Meiku Hama trilogy. Wow, this is down to the standard editions already as well. Wow. And this was 1,000 units and is sold out already. But these will be making their way to Diabolic DVD, to Orbit DVD, probably in a week's time, actually, because we're already getting towards the end of October. It's months going by very fast. So this is the Canny release or Connie release. I never know how to say it. I'm doing this for 4.5 years and don't know how to say it. These are 3 films. Let's see. Where do I want to say this? Launched to stardom by Jim Jarmusch's Mystery Train, enigmatic actor Masatoshi Nagase thrives as the hard-boiled detective wannabe Makuhama in Kaizu Hayashi's trilogy of the same name, encompassing the most terrible time in my life. Yeah, The Most Terrible Time in My Life from 1994, The Stairway to the Distant Past from 1995, and The Trap from 1996. Stomping through the bustling and hustling port city of Yokohama, Hamo operates out of a rundown movie theater, and his office sees every kind of customer, from rich ladies looking for runaway pups to serial murderers who look suspiciously like himself. Equal part American hard-boiled detective pastiche, Seijun Suzuki style Nikatsu Akushin send up, and Masatoshi Nagasi's own murderers who look suspicious. New school comedic charmer. Hold on, where am I? That's why my eyes are losing me. So, and Masatoshi Nagasi's own new school comedic charmer. The Makuhama trilogy is a cult of phenomena of 90s Japanese cinema that would go on to inspire many and spawn its own anthology NTV television series, The Private Detective Mike, by 2002. See, I didn't know any of this. This is the stuff that you discover when you get into all of this stuff. So this is a nice, like, hard-boiled, noirish detective Japanese trilogy of movies. And I only watched the first one, The Most Terrible Time in My Life, and it's good. It's very, very good. So it's a 3-disc set, all Region A, new art by Maxime Guéron. There's a booklet, and let's see, disc 1 is a new 4K restoration of The Most Terrible Time in My Life. Audio commentary by writer Jasper Sharp. Interview with director Kaizo Hayashi. Interview with producer Shunsuke Koga. New 4K restoration on disc 2 of Stairway to the Distant Past. Select scene commentary from director Edmund Yeo. The Mike Hama trilogy and introduction, a video essay by Matthew Carter. And then disc 3 is a new restoration of The Trap, audio commentary by film writer Sam Deegan. And From Memphis to Yokohama, Chasing the Shadow of Masatoshi Nagasi, a video essay by James Belmont. This is a nice trilogy. Damn shame that I missed out on grabbing um the limited edition, but yet again, I will keep an eye out for it on when it comes to the retails. I do want to check and see how my stream is doing on YouTube really quickly. So please give me a second or a little break for that. I always get wary that it's not working. Nothing I could do about it really right now. We're coming up towards the end of the show, but still, my mind will wander into worried directions if I do not. Yep, I am live. Good, good, good. All right. So let's go on. Let's move on to the next uh edition in the partner label world. Let's move on to, let's see. I didn't see Lady Chatterley's Lover, which I wish I did. I didn't see Jimmy and Stiggs. I didn't see Irresistible by Umbrella Entertainment. Let's see, the Saturn's Core. I didn't see the Disco. Actually, I wanted to see Desert of Namibia, but I could not find that thing anywhere. I don't think it's not streaming anywhere. I don't even know if it's available to rent. I don't think it is. It's such a new movie. That is the one thing that is also an issue I come upon on chasing labels when it comes to the partner labels. Very many partner labels buy these movies, after they premiere in the theaters, after they premiere at festivals, and they're putting them out for the first time. So these movies have never really been distributed in any way. So I've got to, you know, I won't be able to see them, essentially. Let's see. Oh, I did see Depraved. Or did I? Let me see. Um. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. So, this is the movie Depraved by IFC Films. The Legend of Frankenstein gets a provocative modern update in the stylishly disturbing new film from indie horror master Larry Fessenden, who we've talked about before. The last month had a Larry Fessenden box set, or Larry Fessenden collection, volume 2, actually. So we have another Larry Fessenden film here. Suffering from PTSD following his stint as an army medic, Henry now works feverishly in his Brooklyn laboratory to forget the death he witnessed overseas by creating life in the form of a man cobbled together from body parts. After procuring a brain from an unwitting victim, his creation, Adam, is born. But it soon seems that giving life to Adam was the easy part. Teaching him how to live in a dark and troubled world may be perilous. A complex, emotionally shattering tale about what it means to be human, Depraved brings Mary Shelley's immortal fable fully into the 21st century. directed by Larry Fessenden, came out in 2019, and the movie is kind of exactly what I just read to you guys. Read to all of you. You've got this um you've got this doctor character. This description makes it seem as if he's the main character, and he's not. The Adam monster character is the main character in this story. You kind of seeing events from his perspective. You see who he was before he became Adam and who he is now and how that came to be. And you're kind of unraveling this mystery behind that. You're unraveling who this doctor is and how and why he's doing what he's doing and all this kind of stuff. So I like the way the movie kind of unfolds in that regard. It is delving into a lot of the Frankenstein themes of humanity and playing God and all this kinds of stuff that you probably learned about in literary courses and whatnot. But I liked the movie. I actually really liked it. The movie is 114 minutes long. Came out in 2019. It's a 2-disc set, 4K UHD and a Blu-ray. 4K UHD presentation of the film with HDR. New audio commentary with filmmaker Larry Fessenden, moderated by OCN Distribution's Justin La Liberty. New audio commentary with film critic Simon Abrams, Making Frankenstein in a Brooklyn Loft, a feature-length documentary on the making of Depraved, The Journey to Day One, an archival interview with Larry Fessenden, Acting Adam, an archival interview with actor Adam Bro, a conversation on makeup, an archival interview with makeup artist Peter Gerner and Brian Spears, Building the Visuals of Depraved, an archival featurette featuring Fessenden and camera crew of Depraved, booklet with new writing by film critic Brandon Strausnig and film historian Craig Ian Mann, theatrical trailer, and that's it. And that is the movie Depraved, put out by IFC Films, directed by Larry Fessenden. Let's see, I didn't get to see The Demon's Rook by Technicolor. I saw Creepy. Did I see Creepy? Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. Creepy, that's being put out by Kim Stim. This is the Kiyoshi Kurosawa film. Okay, Kiyoshi Kurosawa, director of Cure, which is a great film. Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who made his name with classics Cure and Bright Future, gets back to his roots by putting the thumbscrews to the audience with this latest. Creepy, a year after a botched hostage negotiation with a serial killer turned deadly, ex-detective Koichi and his wife move into a new house with a deeply strange new neighbor. His old cop colleagues come calling for his help on a mysterious case, which may be related to the strange goings on next door in this insidiously constructed narrative that braids plot twists on top of plot twists and shock on top of shock. This came out in 2016. 130 minutes long. It's a longish type of movie. And let's see, new audio commentary by film historians Jasper Sharp and Amber T. Proximity, Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Creepy by Christina Alvarez Lopez and Adrian Martin, July 2017 for the movie Notebook. Booklet with new writings by film critic Kristen Yoonso Kim. Now, I don't want to say a lot about this movie because, like I said, because there's a lot of mystery in it, and you got to watch the movie to kind of uncover the mystery and go along on it and go along for the ride. Dark movie, disturbing movie, upsetting movie, interesting movie. Some things kind of work, some things may not work the more you think about them. But it's Kiyoshi Kurosawa, so it's very well directed. If you like the movie Cure and you like his other work, definitely give this a watch. Definitely give this a watch. Okay, so that is the movie Creepy being put out by Kim Stim. I watched The Columnist Film Movement. I kind of thought this was going to be better than what it was, and it kind of ended up being very straightforward. So, The Columnist is being put out by Film Movement, and this is a Dutch film, another Dutch film. So, Femke Boot is a columnist who is obsessed with reading the endless abusive messages and death threats posted about her on social media. So, already, this movie is incredibly modern. So this movie is about a person. You know how they say, don't read the comments, don't go doom scrolling down Twitter or down Instagram, or don't read things about yourself and all this kind of stuff, because there's very mean people on the internet that they're gonna bring you down, they're gonna beat you down, they're gonna be incredibly awful in every way imaginable. If you've been on the internet over the last decade, you understand what I'm saying. Well, this woman does it. And she just keeps getting, abusive comments after abusive comments after, all kinds of online harassment and all kinds of terrible stuff, to the point where she can't take it anymore. She starts hunting these people down and getting rid of them, if you will. And yeah, that's what the movie's about. That's what the movie's about. And and of course it's all about, commenting on, online trolls, commenting on all this kind of stuff I just mentioned and whatnot. And the movie's very straightforward in that. And, and once you go down this path that this woman goes on, how much further you're going to go, how much further you're going to go, how much can you do, to the point where it becomes overwhelming. And that's the movie. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a little bit more deeply investigative of a lot of these bigger themes about, modern online culture and all that kind of stuff. No, kind of just is very much what is what it is, very much surface level in that regard. Not that it's bad in any way, but it kind of is what it is. Um, let's see, what do we get for special features? There's the video introduction by horror novelist and film programmer Grady Hendrix, and that's it. And that's it, unfortunately. This movie came out in 2019, so obviously, like I said, very modern. I did watch another film movement movie called Carmella. This is down to this is actually sold very fast. I remember this being one of the first ones whose limited editions sold out very quickly. It's only down to standard editions of 330 as of this recording. So, I guess get it while you can. I don't if you want it. So this is so let's see. Isolated from the outside world, 15-year-old Lara lives in seclusion on a vast country estate with her father and strict governess Miss Fontaine. Late one evening, a mysterious crash brings a young girl into their home to recuperate. Lara immediately becomes enchanted by the strange visitor, who arouses her curiosity and awakens her burgeoning desires. So this movie is about sexual awakening amongst a young woman, and but it's done through the prism of vampirism. So it's complex and complicated in that regard. There's a lot of things going on in this movie. I believe a um it's an adaptation of a book from the 19th century that's dealing with, sexual desires and lesbianism and vampirism and things like that. And I think this has been adapted several times over, actually. Yeah, it says it right here. The atmospheric coming of age tale is inspired by the 1872 Gothic vampire novella by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu. There you go. Or Le Fanu. Um, they're literally saying what I was just saying. So this movie is dealing with a lot of that, but it's also going a little bit macro with it when it's coming into uh, dealing with oppression of sexual desires, oppression of homosexuality, oppression of exploration of oneself, being misogynistic as well. There's a lot going on in this movie. Now, I don't know if the movie does all of that very well, but it's there. But it's all there. This is definitely a movie I have to watch again to kind of get into to see how it really explores all of that. Yet again, when I'm watching a lot of these movies for chasing labels, I'm watching them and then I have to move on to other things. So I can't really like sit with a lot of these and to really, delve into these as much as I want to. But the movie I think is rather good. Very well acted, very claustrophobic type of movie, all set in one place. And there's a lot going on in it. But I think the movie's also there's a lot of discussion online about a lot of people who vitriolically hate the movie for its portrayal of the sexual desires and ultimately what ends up happening at the end of the story. I don't want to say anything like that. There's an interpretation of the end of the movie that I find interesting the way in which people are interpreting it. Yet again, I'm dancing around it. I'm dancing around it. But let's see what we got here for special features. Behind the scenes featurette, bonus short films, Three Towers, directed by Jonathan Bentoven and Emily Harris. Emily Harris directed the movie. The movie stars Tobias Menzies is in the movie. He's probably an actor of note that people are aware of. Yeah, so that's the movie Carmella being put out by Film Movement. And then, okay, so Brute Nail 1976, I didn't watch. I kind of didn't have any interest in it. It's another horror film where a family or a group of people get stuck in the middle of nowhere and they come across crazy people who start killing them. We've seen this a million times. I can't keep watching these same movies over and over again. So I kind of skipped it. IFC Films is putting out another movie called Barbarian Sound Studio that stars Toby Jones. Directed by Peter Strickland, came out in 2012. In 1976, a mild-mannered British sound engineer named Gilderoy arrives in Rome to work on the post-synchronized soundtrack to The Equestrian Vortex, a tale of witchcraft and murder set inside an all-girl riding academy. But as Gilderoy begins to work on this unexpectedly terrifying project, its own mind, it's his own mind that holds the real horrors as the line between the film and reality blurs. Is Gilderoy working on a film or in one? So this movie is very low key in the sense that it all takes place inside of this sound studio around the Toby Jones character, who is this kind of really famous, well known sound engineer. And he's brought in to work on a Giallo film. And he's never worked on a Giallo film before. He's never worked in this genre. He's never worked with these types of people. He's never experienced this type of movie really before. And he kind of starts going crazy while working on this movie. And the movie is increasingly claustrophobic. It's increasingly eerie. And, reality starts getting all weird and things start getting all surreal. And Toby Jones is a really good actor. So, I did enjoy the movie for that regard in that regard. Let's see, for special features, we have a new audio commentary with film historian Kim Newman and writer and filmmaker Sean Hogan, audio commentary with writer-director Peter Strickland, video interview with Peter Strickland, making of Barbarian Sound Studio, deleted scenes with commentary by Peter Strickland, Box Hill extended documentary, Barbarian Sound System original short film, production design gallery and theatrical trailer, and a booklet with new writings. Let's see. That is Barbarian Sound System by IFC Films, and we've got, let's see, two more films that I watched, All the Moons from Shudder. Once again, you can watch this on Shudder. And let's see, north of Spain, end of the 19th century, during the final throes of the last Carlist War, a little girl is rescued from an orphanage by a mysterious woman who lives deep inside the forest. Badly wounded and close to death, the girl believes the woman to be an angel who has come to take her to heaven. Soon, however, she will discover what this strange being has actually given her is the gift of eternal life by turning her into a vampire. So we have vampirism once again in the late 19th century. So, what happens is, left with no choice but to accept her new condition, she will have to learn to live in the profound and painful loneliness of time, trapped inside her little girl's body, and an infinity of moons go by before one day she meets Candido, a humble man who takes her in and treats her as if she were his own daughter. Now, the little girl will be set on a new path that will see her rebel against her animalistic nature and revive in her the hope of getting back the life that was stolen from her. Very interesting movie. Very interesting movie with a lot to say about humanity and the trappings of time and the negative effects of vampirism, which were touched on a little bit in Interview with the Vampire, the movie. The is it Kirsten Dunst? Yeah, I think it was Kirsten Dunst, where she plays the little girl and she's, a little girl forever because she was turned into a vampire in that body. So this movie's kind of playing on that aspect, but in a more serious, melancholic way. And yeah, I yet again, I kind of enjoyed all of these movies. I really did. These are all pretty good, decent films that I got to watch here from the partner labels over at OCN. This is a new audio commentary with film scholar Rebecca Wynne Walsh and Shelley Rowan Legg, author of the Spanish Fantastic, Contemporary Filmmaking in Horror, Fantasy, and Sci-Fi, booklet with new writing by film critic, Scout Tafoya. And that is it. Yeah, yet again, it's a slow burn of a film, not very eventful, more thematic than anything else. It's not a horror film in the most traditional sense of the term. Like it's It's not like a Nosferatu or something like that. It's way more contemplative, way more thematic, way more thought provoking than anything, I will say. So that is All the Moons being put out by Shudder. And then lastly here, as my voice is completely gone, is AJ Goes to the Dog Park. Now this movie is kind of crazy, kind of wild. Also, the limited edition is sold out already as well. Huh. Yeah, another one that had a small print run of 500 units. So this movie is kind of nuts. This is super low budget filmmaking, super like DIY stuff, completely bonkers things. Like this was stuff you tried to make with your friends back in the day. Although this came out in 2024, but still. Uh yeah, what a surreal nut movie. Determined to let's see. AJ lives a quiet, ordinary life in the Midwest haven of Fargo, North Dakota. His days revolve around small rituals, morning toast, work as a technical consultant, and cherished afternoons at the local dog park with his two chihuahuas, Diddy and Biff. But when the mayor unexpectedly transformed the park into a sterile blog park with a strict no dogs allowed rule, AJ's routine and sense of peace is shattered. Determined to reclaim his happy place, AJ embarks on an increasingly surreal odyssey that starts with a goal to unseat the mayor and spirals into a fever dream of animated interludes, amateur brawling, and unexpected cosmic tours, blending lo-fi live action with bursts of mixed media. AJ Goes to the Dog Park is a riotous, offbeat comedy about the holding on to the things that matter in life in a world that won't stop changing. A scrappy, heartfelt debut from Emmy-nominated Toby Jones, who worked on the regular show. The film is a love letter to community, canine companionship, and the absurd lengths we'll go to protect what we love. Yeah, the movie's insane, inane, ridiculous, dumb, over the top, heartwarming, stupid. It's everything. Like I said, it's lo-fi, sci-fi. There's time travel in it. There's cardboard cutouts. There's animation. There's stuffed animals. It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy stuff. Let's see. Region free Blu ray commentary with Toby Jones, AJ Thompson, Tucker Lucas, and Ben Hansen. Friends and family commentary with Greg Carlson, Beth Jones, John Jones, and Hattie Kampf. Rebecca Sugar Hill to Die on music video. Making of the Groglock sequence by Owen Dennis. Toby goes to make a movie. An interview with Toby Jones by Justin DeClue. I know Justin DeClue. Hattie sequel pitch. Justin DeClue, I think, yeah, he was a guest here on Chasing Labels. Hattie's sequel pitch, local Fargo TV appearances, Pitch to Self and Car from 2019. There's an animatic, there's a trailer, and then English subtitles as well. Just check out the trailer for this movie, and it'll give you a sense of the vibe of it, and give you a sense of what it's all about and how just unhinged it is, completely unhinged. Um, and let's see, uh, that is it for all of the partner label stuff. That's it for all the Vinegar Syndrome stuff. That's it for everything we've talked about here. I just want to. There's one comment here I do want to address, and that is Acres of Movies. Our friend Acres of Movies says your favorite Kelly Reichardt movie, and will you see Mastermind? I think Mastermind is her most recent film, if I do recall. This always reminds me I need more Kelly Reichardt in my collection. Let me look up Kelly Reichardt's um filmography because I do have a favorite and I want to make sure I have the right director in mind. So I've talked about Wendy and Lucy many times. It's not my favorite of hers because I can't watch that movie more than once in my life. It makes me cry. Let's see. So I will see Mastermind, most definitely. That's her newest film. Let's see. Ba-ba-ba-bum. What is my favorite Kelly Reichardt film? Certain Woman is very, very good. Certain Woman may be my favorite Kelly Reichardt film. Yeah, I would go with Certain Woman. Certain Women, sorry. Certain Women is the movie um with it's got Michelle Williams, Kristen Stewart, Laura Dern. It's very, very good. Yeah, Certain Women is my favorite Kelly Reichardt film, and I will be seeing Mastermind, most definitely. So, that is it. That is it for everything here on Chasing Labels number 175. Some stuff to wrap things up with, if you're not aware, we do have some merch in a merch store on Etsy. If you look up Chasing Labels, you will find this shirt here. I should probably show it off to the camera. There's other stuff on there as well, other merchandise that have Chasing Labels featured on it, plus other movie design and movie related things. Also, if you want to, it's also under the title um, B-roll bandits as well. That's the name of the shop on there. That's what has the Chasing Labels stuff and the other movie related stuff. But just look up Chasing Labels on Etsy, you will find that there. Recently, we just did a new episode of Movies Down Memory Lane where I got to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time and why it's so important to me, and that is the Cameron Crowe film Almost Famous from the year 2000. And so it's celebrating its 25th anniversary. That just kind of coincident in there. We will be doing, of course, another unwatched pile towards the end of the month. And we will, of course, be back here for another episode, another spine number of Chasing Labels in 2 weeks on the 27th. And so we will be probably figuring out when to do an unwatched pile for then. In the meantime, check out whatever else has been here on Chasing Labels, previous on Watch Pile, like I just mentioned, the previous Movies Down Memory Lane episodes, the shorts that I've been doing with various, movie collection updates essentially, and all the other episodes of Chasing Labels as well. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. You can check out the podcast in audio form on YouTube, on everywhere else podcasts can be found audio wise, on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify. If you want to check out, obviously the previous live streams, go to the live tab. I think that's where they all are. They all will be because they're all live streams. They will all be up on there. And thank you all for all the support always. And hey, keep on watching those movies because I know I will.